Chapter 2234. Boom. Whoosh. A shockwave swept out, and the 6 great saints were all sent flying. The absolute saint's body was invaded by the baleful aura and resentment, and his soul felt like it was being torn apart. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists, and his eyes were like torches. He didn't see the 6 great saints being defeated, but the baleful aura of the evil soul was fading, and its power was slowly weakening. Yi Qinghan was wasting time. The longer the 6 great saints wasted, the more tired the evil soul would be, and the greater the chance of him refining the evil soul. The adjudicator was fighting with all his might. At this moment his real enemy was neither Yi Qinghan nor Xia Zhaoyang. None of this had anything to do with him. He only had one goal, and that was to suppress the evil soul. Roar! The blade of judgment shot out a holy dragon that could swallow mountains and rivers, purifying the baleful aura. The blade of judgment cut through the darkness and went straight for the evil soul's body. Boom! The evil soul mobilized the dark baleful aura to grab the blade of judgment. Although it was being refined, it didn't care. It roared with resentment and punched the adjudicator's chest. Puff! The adjudicator spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. However, his cultivation method was incompatible with the evil souls. The baleful aura couldn't enter his body, so his injuries weren't as severe as expected. Xia Zhaoyang used the sacred finger of annihilation again, and it passed through the evil soul's body of origin. The evil soul could feel pain. It was so angry that it gave up on chasing the absolute saint and went after Xia Zhaoyang. The baleful aura wrapped around the former first sacred master, and it blasted Xia Zhaoyang into the ground. Crack! The ground was torn apart, and the mountains and rivers were shattered. Screech! The golden thunder dragon rock roared and swooped down from the sky. Bolts of purple lightning pierced through space and time, not only enveloping the evil soul, but also Xia Zhaoyang. It wanted to kill not only the evil soul, but also Xia Zhaoyang. The golden thunder dragon rock revealed its true form. Its wings covered the sky, and golden light shot out in all directions. Get lost! The evil soul turned into a demon and soared into the sky. He punched the golden thunder dragon rock's defensive shield. The evil spirit and resentful spirit pierced through the golden defense. The moment they broke into its body, the golden thunder dragon rock spread its wings and flew away. Unfortunately, it still couldn't avoid the evil soul's angry attack. It was directly punched through the clouds and crashed into the top of the sky. The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage formed a seal, and the 8 trigrams shield spun in front of his chest as he closed in. Whoosh-boom! The sinful soul punched the shield of the 8 trigrams and forced the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage to retreat. At this point he could not even borrow any strength. If the sinful soul had the strength of 1,000 kilograms, the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage's strength was not even 4 taels. Using 4 taels to defeat 1,000 caddies, the difference had to be within this range. Beyond this range, no matter how powerful the technique was, it would be useless. Lin Wutian held his sword and attacked again. At this time, no one wanted to borrow a knife to kill the evil soul. This was their last chance to kill the evil soul. If they failed, they would be destroyed. There was no other way. Everyone was fighting for their own lives. The Holy Emperor gritted his teeth and activated the Eye of Power and the Staff of Power. Yar Saint's power was like that of a baby in front of the Holy Emperor. This showed how powerful the Holy Emperor was. Boom! Whoosh! The holy light covered the sky and the earth, fighting against the boundless negative emotions. Both sides were wearing each other down. Time passed slowly, but Yi Qinghan still did not move. It was as if the destruction of the world had nothing to do with him. Fanyin formed a seal with both hands and controlled the immortal sealing mark to block the escape route of the sinful soul. However, she still had the energy to observe the battle. She looked coldly in the direction of Yi Qinghan. Her heart turned cold. She felt that Yi Qinghan was no longer the little junior she knew. Heartless. Fanyin could not find any other words to describe Yi Qinghan. That was the only word she could think of. However, Yi Qinghan was more nervous than anyone else. He clenched his fists and flew into the air. He tore apart the darkness behind him and destroyed the evil aura that was approaching him. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's aura slowly spread. It became stronger and stronger, alarming the sinful souls who were fighting. Yi Qinghan, you can take your people and leave. The sinful soul was a little wary of Yi Qinghan. Back then, Yi Qinghan was only a small saint, an ant. The most he could do was threaten its essence. However, the current Yi Qinghan could already destroy its soul. Yi Qinghan laughed hoarsely and replied calmly, "No, I gave you a chance back then. You were the one who didn't want it. Do you think you can suppress me with your attacks? You know what I mean. I've already transcended. If I don't want to die, no one can do anything to me. Although my essence comes from the fear, despair, and resentment of countless living beings, my strength comes from your emotions. As long as you are not destroyed, I am immortal. I am immortal." The sinful soul roared as it fought. Yi Qinghan slowly stepped forward and entered the battlefield. He said solemnly, "The louder you roar, the more afraid you are of me. Resentful souls, the one who killed you in your previous life was not the living beings, but Xia Zhiyong. Unfortunately, you are not a good person. I've reminded you time and time again, but you still can't wake up. As the saying goes, greed is like fire. If you don't control it, it will set the prairie ablaze. Desire is like water. If you don't control it, it will overflow the sky. Today, don't even think about leaving. Let me send you off." The 6 great saints and the sinful soul fought for a long time. Half of the coiling dragon's secret realm had been destroyed. The sinful soul wanted to break through the passage to the small domain, but at this moment, the great saints released all living beings. They used the power of will and faith of all living beings and their holy power to create a heaven-reaching barrier. It covered countless miles and blocked half of the coiling dragon's secret realm. Bush, bush, bush. Holy light covered the sky. At this moment, the great saints truly had no desires. They only wanted to set up a barrier that no one could break through. This was the power of will and faith of all living beings. They only wanted to stop the sinful soul. The sinful soul's space to live was getting smaller and smaller. It crashed into the barrier several times, but it was beaten back. The 6 great saints were exhausted. This was not a waste of time, but a desperate fight. It was much more than the 4 great saints who surrounded the sinful soul. The sinful soul had also lost half of its power. At this moment, it was even more resentful and its killing power was even stronger. However, Yi Qinghan was unarmed. He walked directly to the center of the battlefield without any defense. No one knew what he was going to do. Only Lin Wutian knew that Yi Qinghan was going to take the risk and absorb the sinful soul into his body. "Sinful soul, enter my body. As long as you can conquer me, all living beings in the world will be destroyed by you." Yi Qinghan reached his hands into the sky. His eyes were emotionless, as if he was welcoming his mother's embrace. The sinful soul was also stunned. Seeing Yi Qinghan enter the battlefield without any defense, it suddenly grinned evilly. "There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell, but you insist on coming." The sinful soul's sinister laughter resounded through the sky. Suddenly, the sinful soul's origin turned into a wisp of resentful soul and rushed toward Yi Qinghan's head. Chapter 2235. The sage's pupils shrank, and the other great sages were enraged. Once the evil soul devoured Yi Qinghan's soul and gained control of the golden body of the holy saint, who in the world could suppress it? "Yi Qinghan, are you crazy? Get out of the way!" The judge roared. Xia Zhiyong pointed his finger at the sky, and the friction of the golden body caused a monstrous flame. He roared, "Yi Qinghan, since you want to die together with it, I'll fulfill your wish." Boom, boom, boom. The finger shook the heavens and the earth, and shattered the mountains and rivers. It was about to break through the shackles, and the attack range directly enveloped Yi Qinghan and the evil soul. He wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. At this time, even Fanning stood up and looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. He was unwilling to accept this, but he also had doubts. He did not understand what Yi Qinghan was trying to do. If he was so great, why would he do what he did before? If he was great, Why would he ignore the destruction of the common people? But if he was not so great, why would he risk his life to fight the evil soul? The golden thunder dragon rock was also stunned. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to do this. Only Lin Wutian knew what he was trying to do, so the moment Yi Qinghan was about to absorb the evil soul, he stabbed his sword at Xia Zhaoyang. The sword's song moved, and the sky responded. The sword rushed back like a meteor smashing into the void, heading straight for Xia Zhaoyang. Boom! Lin Wutian blocked Xia Zhaoyang in midair, and their attacks collided. In the midst of this lightning and thunder, the evil soul had turned into a demon and appeared above Yi Qinghan's head. A shrill roar reverberated in Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. Endless darkness occupied Yi Qinghan's golden body of the holy saint. The golden body of the holy saint, which was filled with holy light, suddenly became dark, and then dimmed. Finally, it returned to calm. Yi Qinghan's hands formed a seal, and the immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield erupted. The immortal rune talisman technique was like a real immortal weapon, imprisoning the evil soul. Boom! The immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield was bathed in golden light and enveloped his entire body. Yi Qinghan opened his eyes, which were suffused with thick black fog and killing intent. His eyes were red, but there was still a trace of rationality. Sinful soul, since you've come in, don't even think about leaving. Yi Qinghan growled. His handsome face was contorted in pain. Roared out a voice that didn't belong to a human came out of Yi Qinghan's mouth. It was horrifying and terrifying. At this moment, not to mention the judge, even Tong Tian, Emperor and Absolute Saint were shocked. If Yi Qinghan lost control, there would be no more chances. Yi Qinghan, thank you for bestowing me with this supreme food. Your soul is the best tonic in the world. Once I refine you, the world will be mine. Yi Qinghan couldn't even control his fleshly body. The terrifying soul of the great sage and the evil soul each occupied half of the sky. His fleshly body was half of the evil soul and half of his own body. But now, it was occupied by the evil soul. The evil soul's resentful spirit was furious and mad as it controlled Yi Qinghan and roared. At this moment, Chess Saint flew up and pointed at Yi Qinghan angrily. Yi Qinghan is now the strongest immortal weapon to seal the evil soul. Judge, what are you waiting for? Screech. Arbiter gripped his ruling blade and leaped into the air, slashing at Yi Qinghan. Screech. The golden thunder dragon rock flapped its wings and swept across thousands of miles. The airflow in all directions was out of control. The airflow gathered into a blade and slashed at the judge from all directions. This type of airflow might not be very effective against the evil soul, but it was fatal against the judge. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Boom. Gu Qingyu, Jiang Jingtian, and the other saints of the proud clan took to the air and turned into sharp swords and divine spears that tore through the void. They had been prepared for this for a long time, and their reactions were definitely much faster than the others. They even burst into action the moment the chess saint took to the air. In the blink of an eye, they were tens of thousands of miles away, heading straight for Yi Qinghan. You have to destroy Yi Qinghan's physical body and evil soul in an instant. Only then can you completely kill the evil soul. Chess Saint roared again. You're practicing immortal spells, which are most effective against the evil soul. Don't be merciful at this moment. Otherwise, eternal world will be destroyed. Fanine was stunned. She did not expect that she would have to personally destroy Yi Qinghan and the evil soul in the end. She had thought of killing the evil soul with her own hands, but she had never thought of killing Yi Qinghan with her own hands. At this moment, she was at a loss. Do it, girl. Don't hesitate, think of all life. Grandmaster Grand Sage roared. Screech. Boom. The immortal sealing imprint rose from the ground, and the immortal pattern carried a terrifying offensive power as it soared into the sky. In the end, she still chose to save all life. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was fighting with the evil soul in his sea of consciousness. They were suppressing each other, and the powerful soul was fighting against the evil soul. In his sea of consciousness, there was a small person, which was countless times smaller than Yi Qinghan. On the other side, there was a terrifying demon. Yi Qinghan formed a seal with his hands, and his 10 fingers drew a yin-yang 8 trigrams. He reached out with his right hand, and it broke through the void, stirring up the sea of bitterness, and grabbed at the evil soul. Boom! Whoosh! The sixth style of the space-piercing star-plucking hand, which had the power to crush the world, made the 10,000 sages not dare to resist. This huge hand covered half of the sea of bitterness, and it grabbed at the evil soul. Roared at the evil soul, roared and roared. Food will always be food. No matter how strong you are, it's useless. I don't believe that you don't have any negative emotions. Boomed at the evil soul, punched through the waves of the sea of bitterness. His demonic face was ferocious and angry, as if he wanted to devour everything. In the blink of an eye, this punch landed squarely on Yi Qinghan's huge hand. Bang bang bang. Crack crack crack. The sound of bones breaking and the tearing of souls could be heard. The evil soul's punch was enveloped by the huge hand, and the small person directly used the strongest close combat tactic. It seemed to be even more spiritual than Yi Qinghan's body. His soul's reaction speed was faster than his physical body, and his physical body had become a burden. The 5 elements shifting technique left countless afterimages in the sky above the sea of bitterness. Boom boom boom. Whooshed at the 2 strongest souls in the world fought in the sky above the sea of bitterness, and immortal techniques filled the air. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's physical body actually shook, and he almost fell to the ground. His ferocious face was even more terrifying. No one believed that Yi Qinghan could refine the evil soul. Even if he could, not many people hoped that he could survive. Fan Yin moved, and her jade-like hand controlled the immortal sealing imprint. Her eyes were filled with ruthlessness, and she said in a low voice, "Junior brother, I'm sorry, I can't afford to gamble." Boom! Fan Yin controlled the immortal sealing imprint and rushed towards Yi Qinghan to suppress him. At this moment, the saints of the insane sect attacked with their divine weapons for the first time. For people in a team, and each had their own target. Some stopped the Grandmaster Grand Sage, some stopped the Absolute Saint, and some stopped Fan Yin. Whooshed at the Universal Love Saint's eyes were filled with destructive light, and he led 2 saints towards the Absolute Saint. He shouted in a low voice, "Grandfather, don't force me. I hope you don't choose the wrong team, or else I can't protect you even if I want to." Boom! Jiang Jingtian's spear pierced through the void and directly stabbed the immortal sealing imprint. However, at this moment, the immortal sealing imprint was more like a crack in the sky, suppressing all living things. Even saints could not resist it. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. Jiang Jingtian was directly smashed to the ground, and the long spear was pressed against the ground. Mountains and rivers shattered, and he left a footprint with each step. His hands were distorted from the impact, and he still could not resist Fan Yin's attack. Chapter 2236. Jiang Jingtian's arms were twisted along with the spear, but he was still able to resist Fan Yin's attack from behind Yi Qinghan. More than 10 experts from the eccentric sect charged into the crowd, no longer dealing with the evil souls. Instead, they were guarding Yi Qinghan. The eccentric sect's goal was clear from the start. They knew that Yi Qinghan would absorb the evil souls into his body, so their plan was flawless. Yi Qinghan was surrounded by experts from the eccentric sect, fighting against the 4 great saints. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Wu Zhenjuan, Xiahou He, and Zhan Zhu reacted a little too late, but they still moved with the wind when they saw the start of the battle. Now, they weren't dealing with the evil souls anymore. The sages finally had a use. The evil souls might be able to kill the sages instantly and devour their souls. The great sages could resist the evil souls, but the great sages couldn't kill the sages instantly. They might not even be able to kill the sages. Whoosh 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 whoosh. More than 20 saints from the eternal world soared into the sky, each with their own allegiance. Holy light filled the air, creating an unprecedented visual impact. Fortunately, the Emperor Sage hesitated. Otherwise, the Charity Saint and Mu Zhuang would not be able to stop a great saint. The Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage's eyes flashed coldly. Seeing that Fan Yin had attacked, he went all out and attacked Gu Qingyu, Yan Ao, and the others. Boom! Whoosh. In an instant, The broken coiling dragon's secret realm became fragile again and completely collapsed. Endless seawater surged, drowning half of the secret realm. Xia Zheyang and Lin Wutian had already reached the clouds. The sky changed color, the clouds churned, and the green lotuses bloomed. The golden lightning dragon rock blocked the adjudicator. Lightning covered the sky, and even the saints did not dare to get close. Crack, crack, crack. The spear in Jiang Jingtian's hand was almost twisted into a fried dough twist, and it was about to break at any time. Xia Ziluo and Huang Pring filled in the gap. The three experts clashed with the immortal sealing mark, and it was a draw. Miss Fanning, Brother Yi taking in the evil souls was part of the plan. He has the confidence to refine the evil souls. Don't attack your own people. Jiang Jingtian's face was ferocious as he angrily reminded. Fanning formed a seal with both hands, and the SW-shaped immortal sealing imprint shone brighter and brighter. She was already infinitely close to the great sage realm, and the most terrifying thing was that this immortal sealing imprint of hers carried with it surging immortal might. When the immortal patterns burst forth, sacred weapons could not withstand it at all. He doesn't have the confidence, otherwise, he wouldn't have let so many people consume their sinful souls. I can't afford to gamble. If he loses the bet, the heavens will be destroyed. But if I destroy him and the sinful soul, the world will still be saved. Do you want him to drag Guangzhong down with him? Fanning argued. She didn't want to kill Yi Qinghan either, but the current situation forced her to act. Boom. Crack, crack, crack. It was not that Jiang Jingtian and the others were weak, but that the Brahmin chant was too powerful, and the immortal sealing imprint was too terrifying. Knock, knock, knock. Whoosh. Xia Ziluo, Huang Peng, and Jiang Jingtian's hearts were about to explode. Their faces were pale, but they had no helpers now. The universal love saint and the others surrounded the Emperor Sage, hoping to persuade him. But the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage alone defeated all the other experts of the Guangzhong sect, including Emperor Feng and the others. You're all foolish. Yi Qinghan has changed. If he is devoured by the sinful soul will no longer fear him. The sinful soul that knows immortal spells will cause the world to never see a day of peace. Is the Guangzhong sect trying to destroy the eternal world? Although the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage was strong, the people of the Guangzhong sect were not afraid of death. They charged forward with all their might, and the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage could not kill his way to Yi Qinghan. Heavenly Grandmaster, Brother Yi worshipped you as his master, but you repay his kindness with ingratitude. If Brother Yi didn't act, you would all die. Now that he is risking his life, you take advantage of the fact that he and the sinful soul are both injured to kill him. Has your conscience been eaten by dogs? Gu Qingyu roared. The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage sent Gu Qingyu flying with a palm strike, but before he could kill him, Zhuo Shuguang attacked from the side, forcing him to retreat. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for the common people. The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage had the demeanor of an immortal. I think you're doing this for the sake of balance. You can't accept being stronger than yourself. Zhuo Shuguang held the scroll of mountains and rivers in his hand and used shape-shifting shadows to buy time. Boom! The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage's staff shattered the heavens and swept forward. As the saying goes, many ants can bite an elephant to death. The Guangzhong sect had the advantage in numbers. With so many saints surrounding the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage, he could not fight back no matter how strong he was. However, there were still more than 20 surviving saints in the eternal world. They were coming from the rear. Xiaohe's target was clear. He went straight for Fanning. His palm strike carried the ancient rhythm of mountains and rivers. It was as if the mountains, rivers, sun, and moon were mobilized. His palm imprinted on the immortal sealing imprint. Combined with the power of the three great experts, they forced Fanning to retreat. However, the others were not all on Yi Qinghan's side. At least, the remaining 6 prefectures' chiefs went straight for Jiang Jingtian and the others. They wanted to help Fanning restrain the 4 experts. Other than the 6 prefectures, no one knew who the saints were on. They would only know when the battle started. The war ancestor and Wu Zhenjuan joined forces to attack the 6 prefectures. Then, a few more saints rushed out from the crowd. Some of them went for Wu Zhenjuan, while others went for the 6 prefectures. Now, no one could stay neutral. Staying neutral was no different from courting death. No matter which side won, the neutral would be eliminated. In the blink of an eye, experts from all sides gathered and started the holy war. They were at each other's throats. The great saints spoke one after another, trying to persuade the minor saints. Although they were not the strongest, they could still change the situation. The 3 minor saints, including the power saint and light saint of the Oshi sacred ground, looked at each other. They did not expect to face the Guangzhong sect one day. However, the Emperor Grand Sage's ambiguous attitude made it difficult for them. Fortunately, although the Guangzhong sect was at a disadvantage, the gap was not big. They were most afraid that the Emperor Grand Sage's attitude would implicate more saints. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was fighting the evil soul as an equal. They fought fiercely in the Sea of Consciousness. The Sea of Consciousness was a world. The 2 supreme souls fought fiercely. The Sea of Bitterness was even more turbulent than the Sea of the Eternal World. So this is the life you are protecting. There are not many who are willing to help you. Yi Qinghan, I can still allow you to leave now. The evil soul grinned evilly, trying to destroy Yi Qinghan's soul. Yi Qinghan was bleeding from his 7 orifices. All of them were caused by the soul attack. If he could not suppress the evil soul immediately, it would be a disaster. Although he was fighting the evil soul, he still had some energy left to pay attention to the outside world. When he saw the great saints joining forces to kill him, he knew that he had acted too quickly. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fist and said, "Why don't we kill our common enemy first, Xia Zhaoyang?" Chapter 2237. The evil spirit was not interested in Yi Qinghan's suggestion. Instead, it sneered coldly, "Since you're going against me, I'd like to show you how your insane sect will be destroyed. I'll let you experience what I'm feeling now and understand why I'm in this world." This sentence hit Yi Qinghan's weak spot. Yi Qinghan's soul was at its peak as he looked at the evil spirit in his mind. He knew that it would take a long time to assimilate it. Unfortunately, the humans did not give him the time. Great Sage, Yi Qinghan let out a low roar that shook the galaxy. The saints and great saints who were fighting to the death couldn't help but stop their attacks and retreat, forming 2 factions that were at loggerheads. The eerie voice was full of disdain and mockery, sending chills down the spines of the opposing great sages. Kill to your heart's content. Yi Qinghan will not live. No one will avenge them. Whoever kills the most people from the arrogant sect, I might spare his life. Following that, Yi Qinghan spoke in a voice that did not belong to him. It was terrifying and terrifying. That voice was like ice piercing into one's bone marrow, like a sharp holy weapon cutting into one's skin. It made one tremble uncontrollably. At this moment, Fan Yin's killing intent was even more determined. Yi Qinghan was the best vessel. If they did not take this opportunity to destroy him, the humans would be digging their own graves. Boom. Whoosh. The immortal pattern on the immortal ceiling mark shot up into the sky, shaking the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Although it was not a great sage, it was filled with the might of a great sage. Its lethality exceeded that of a great sage. The Emperor Sage, who was hesitating, was also filled with killing intent. Even the Universal Love Sage could not change his mind. The aura of the sacred finger of annihilation filled the air. The Emperor Sage and the Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage had begun to form the sacred finger of annihilation. This was the final battle. The winner would live and the loser would perish. Get out of the way. Can't you see? Yi Qinghan can't destroy the evil spirit. Fan Yin glared at Jiang Jingtian and the others and said in a low voice. Jiang Jingtian glared back with his spear and replied coldly, "So what? If it wasn't for him, all of you would be dead. What's more, he hasn't lost yet. I'm willing to bet. Even if I lose and die without a burial place, I'm not willing to be a shameless villain like you. Unrepentant. Kill." The Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage roared furiously. Boom. A bolt of lightning streaked across the sky as Yen Yunbei quietly appeared behind a Sacred Empire's prefecture lord who was about to make a move. He pierced his dagger through the prefecture lord's head and struck his back with his left palm. Bang! The manor lord had perished and his soul was devoured by the deathless aura. In the blink of an eye, Yan Yunbei's hand disappeared as if it had never appeared. This ambush indicated that the holy war would once again erupt, and there would be no possibility of peace. Saint Annihilation Finger. The heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage destroyed saints with a single finger, shattering the void as he charged towards Gu Qingyu, who was not far from Yi Qinghan. He was unstoppable as his finger tore through the void. Aimed at the cold and lonely swordplay rushed towards the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. The other sages of the arrogant sect came from all directions, hoping to stop the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. Boom! At this moment, a figure appeared even faster than Gu Qingyu and the others. It was Yi Qinghan. The ground was shattered by him as he shifted his body and the 5 elements went berserk. As he punched out, it was as if the sun and the moon were moving. Time and space were in chaos as he destroyed the second finger of the Holy Annihilation Finger. Following that, he slammed into the shield of the 8 trigrams in front of the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. Bang! Crack crack crack. The shield of the 8 trigrams was broken and it struck towards the head of the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. It was as if a god of war had descended and looked down on all the sages. Great Sage! If you provoke me, you'll die. Boom! Yi Qinghan's killing intent radiated in all directions. This aura caused the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage's pupils to dilate. He lost all will to fight as if he was waiting for death. However, the evil spirits did not cooperate. At this critical moment, they attacked Yi Qinghan's soul and forcefully tried to seize control of Yi Qinghan's physical body. Whoosh! At this moment, the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage's hair stood on end as he retreated 3,000 miles. He looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. Yi Qinghan saw that he had no chance of killing the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. He used the opportunity to combine the powers of the evil spirits to destroy the balance of time and space. However, he did not choose to leave the eternal world. Instead, he broke free from the shackles of time and rushed back to half a day ago. Whoosh! Everything was shattered and turned into an illusion. All the sages were destroyed. Yi Qinghan used up his one chance to break through the void. This time, he disrupted the balance of time and space. The will of the world would definitely adjust itself, stabilizing time and space. If he wanted to leave the eternal world, he had to reach the never-wither immortal realm. Whoosh! Half a day passed in an instant. All the sages seemed to be pulled back by an order. Their faces were filled with fear. The scene changed. Yi Qinghan gave it his all. Time did not go back too far. It only went back to when the evil spirits first appeared in the coiling dragon's secret realm. The great sages were still united against the outside world. Yi Qinghan's body trembled and his soul returned to its original position. At least time gave him another chance. This time, Yi Qinghan did not attack. He watched coldly as the evil spirits sent the great sages flying. The Emperor Sage and the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage were sent flying dozens of times. Yi Qinghan secretly transmitted his voice to Lin Wutian and the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock. He told them to conserve their strength and not fight the evil spirits head-on. Not only did they have to deplete the strength of the other great sages, but they also had to ensure that the great sages were not devoured by the evil spirits. This was a very tiring task. Yi Qinghan stared at the battlefield. The situation was getting more and more urgent. This was his one and only chance to break the balance of time and space in 1,000 years. If he wasted it, he would be dead. Fan Yin blocked the escape route of the evil spirits. As she stared at the battlefield, she looked for Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan did not attack. Her misunderstanding of him deepened. The two of them were doomed and there was no way to reconcile. Yi Qinghan's heart ached. Fan Yin was so determined to attack him. Whether it was for the sake of the world or for himself, it was unforgivable. Boom! The evil spirits punched through the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage's defense and almost killed him. Before Yi Qinghan could attack, Fan Yin was burning with anger. Not whoosh! Lin Wutian slashed with his sword. The majestic sword chi forced the evil spirits to dodge. Just like that, the cycle went back and forth. Lin Wutian and the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock continued to rescue but did not attack. After dozens of days of fighting, Yi Qinghan seemed to have disappeared. He stood motionless in the alternate space. Many people cursed Yi Qinghan. Even the sages who were willing to help the Guangzong were disappointed. They felt that Yi Qinghan really did not care about the world. He was willing to give up everything for himself and for victory. 3 months later, all of the great sages were exhausted and could no longer fight. Only then did Yi Qinghan officially join the fray. He let down his defenses and allowed the sinful souls to rush into his sea of consciousness. He used the Immortal School's 5 elements golden bell shield to imprison the sinful souls within his body. Immortal patterns bloomed on his body, preventing even a trace of resentment from escaping. Chapter 2238. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be waiting for it to enter his sea of consciousness. Then he used his body and sea of consciousness as a container to seal it. Boom! Yi Qinghan's first move caused huge waves in the sea of bitterness. One finger destroyed the holy sage, and the second finger destroyed the heavens. He directly destroyed the origin of the evil soul. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness was enveloped by a dark, murderous aura. Endless fear and despair filled his soul. Desperate roars and screams could be heard from outside his body. At this moment, the Chess Venerable appeared again to suppress the great sage and Yi Qinghan. However, it was no longer effective. Even Xia Zhaoyang was powerless. Lin Wutian and the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock still had more than half of their combat strength left. The great sages of the insane sect rushed around Yi Qinghan to defend against the great sage and the other sages. Fanning stood up and waved his hand to retract the immortal sealing mark. He stared at Yi Qinghan, afraid that an accident would happen. Whether the Chess Venerable was the consciousness of the world or a puppet, or if he really cared about the world, he had no way out. Yi Qinghan would not give him a way out. At this point in time, Yi Qinghan didn't want to fuss over what Chess Venerate's saint had done. He could only focus on refining the evil soul. The souls of the 2 paragons intertwined with each other and fought each other. Angry roars came out of his mouth from time to time, shaking the starry river. The other great sages wanted to fight again and destroy Yi Qinghan. However, they did not dare to do so. Xia Zhaoyang knew that he could not defeat Lin Wutian and kill Yi Qinghan now. He sat on the ground and took out tens of thousands of celestial sacred stones. In an instant, he absorbed the power of a few hundred celestial sacred stones. The celestial sacred stones were reduced to dust. His recovery speed was extremely fast. Whoosh! The remaining 6 mansion masters surrounded Xia Zhaoyang and defended him so that he could enter a state of recovery. The 3 sages of the Oshi Holy Ground charged to the side of the Holy Emperor without hesitation and drew their swords. The group of heroes faced each other. No one believed the other. Fan Yin's figure flashed and appeared beside the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage, helping him defend. The eccentric sex masters did not kill the 3 great sages at this time. They did not want to cause a ruckus because of this. Besides, Yi Qinghan had not completely killed the evil souls. Chess Supremacy joined forces with the Sword Dao Grand Eternal Sage and several other sages to protect the Adjudicator. The 4 great saints all had their own followers, who were desperately trying to heal their injuries and devouring the saint power between heaven and earth. Boom! A bolt of lightning flashed, illuminating the sky. The remaining baleful aura in the world dissipated. Then, heavy rain poured down, washing away the turbid aura in the world. Half a day later, the sky was blue and the clouds were white. It was as if the world had never experienced a great calamity. However, Yi Qinghan was still fighting with his life on the line. At that moment, his body was emitting a black gas. However, the extremely poisonous baneful aura and negative emotions were unable to escape the immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield. All they could do was struggle crazily within Yi Qinghan's body. Gurgle gurgle. At that moment, Yi Qinghan's blood seemed to be boiling, like thousands of horses galloping. His eyes emitted a red light. The little person in his sea of consciousness was stronger than his body. Without the restraint of his physical body, The soul in his sea of consciousness was overturning the seas and rivers. The sea of bitterness slammed into the sky. The evil soul finally felt fear and roared, "Yi Qinghan, let me leave. From now on, you and I will mind our own business. It's too late. Today, I'm here to refine you so that I can break through to the immortal realm and destroy the order. From now on, there will be no more confusion, and the world's consciousness will no longer be able to manipulate me." Yi Qinghan said coldly. The evil soul rolled with a dark baleful aura, forming a demon that attacked Yi Qinghan's soul. However, the immortal light filled the air, constantly devouring the endless negative emotions. The evil soul's origin was being refined bit by bit, but it could do nothing. "Yi Qinghan, don't force me, roar." The evil soul exploded in fear. The power generated by the resentment was even more terrifying than when it was at its peak. However, the origin of evil was getting weaker and weaker. The more the evil soul exploded, the faster it was consumed. Boom! The little person in Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness moved in this small universe, leaving afterimages. With a wave of his hand, he destroyed the origin of evil again and again, slowly devouring the resentment. Bang bang bang! Roar! The process of killing was also long. Day after day, Yi Qinghan's baleful aura and resentment became stronger and stronger. The small saints on the periphery were frightened when they saw Yi Qinghan's current state. The 4 great saints were still recovering to their peak state. After another 3 months, the 4 great saints finally stood up and stared at Yi Qinghan and the other saints of the insane sect with murderous intent in their eyes. The adjudicator and Fanine only wanted to completely eliminate the calamity for the common people, but the 3 great saints had selfish motives. As for the Chess Supreme's motive, the adjudicator did not know. As for his identity, the adjudicator might know, but it was impossible for him to betray the Chess Supreme. Whoosh! The 4 great saints surrounded him. Even Fanine controlled the immortal sealing mark and closed in. This time, Yi Qinghan did not have the ability to break the balance of time and space. If he could not kill the evil soul, he could only watch as the insane sect was destroyed. Yi Qinghan used all his willpower to destroy the evil soul's resistance. "Give up. My body is your prison. Your resentment will eventually be resolved. I will take your resentment with me to slaughter all the great saints and destroy the world's consciousness. If you continue to resist, you and I will both be reduced to nothingness. Your hatred and your unwillingness will vanish into thin air, leaving nothing behind." Yi Qinghan said to the sinful soul in a deep voice as he watched the saints approach. Whoosh! As Yi Qinghan persuaded the evil soul, he mobilized the immortal qi to cover his sea of consciousness, wantonly devouring the resentment and baleful aura. The evil soul had no way out. "I can't accept this." The sinful soul roared with unwillingness. It was formed from an endless amount of baleful aura and the resentful souls of countless living beings. It shouldn't have been killed, but Yi Qinghan cultivated an immortal technique that was specifically designed to deal with it. His body had become a prison, and if this continued, the resentful soul would be exhausted sooner or later. What's there to be resentful about? Xia Zhaoyang? He killed countless of your living masters. Their resentful spirits are intertwining to let you kill him. It's okay, I'll cooperate with you to kill Xia Zhaoyang. I'll let you merge with me without any resentment. Yi Qinghan tempted in a low voice. The evil soul had no choice. It could either be devoured by Yi Qinghan or be destroyed by the great saints along with Yi Qinghan. A resentful spirit would do anything to achieve its goal. Let's kill him together. The evil soul roared and took control of Yi Qinghan's body. Yi Qinghan's eyes glowed red and his baleful aura covered the sky. Third finger of annihilation. Sky annihilation. Xia Zhaoyang's finger tore the sky apart and descended from the sky. Even the saints could not resist his aura. The terrifying aura swept through the years as if the balance of time and space had been broken. The saints of the arrogant sect were swept away. Lin Wutian was about to make a move when Yi Qinghan suddenly appeared and said, "Wu, get out of the way. Leave Xia Zhaoyang to me." Boom. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fist. Before he punched, his aura stirred up the sand and the veins all over his body bulged. Endless resentment poured out from this punch, accompanied by the sacred finger of annihilation, the star-plucking palm, and the immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield. Under the 5 elements shift, he was in mid-air in the blink of an eye. Boom! The punch landed squarely on Xia Zhaoyang's sacred finger of annihilation. In an instant, the clouds in the sky exploded and a wave of air broke through the coiling dragon mystic realm. The endless sea poured into the realm. Crack! Xia Zhaoyang's finger was directly smashed and his arm was smashed into powder by this punch. Yi Qinghan's punch was not over yet. He slightly changed the direction of his punch and fiercely slammed into Xia Zhaoyang's chest. Boundless resentment and baleful aura swept into his chest, instantly shattering all his defenses and entering his sea of consciousness. Chapter 2239. That punch not only contained the resentment and evil spirits of countless people, but it also contained Yi Qinghan's killing blow. Xia Zhaoyang was a divine lord, but his chest was shattered by that punch. His internal organs were shattered, and his supreme sage body was torn apart. Xia Zhaoyang screamed as his throat was blocked by his shattered internal organs. Boom! The last bit of the evil soul's anger exploded. Together with Yi Qinghan's golden body of absolute saint, he swept his long legs across with a force as heavy as 7 feet. He struck Xia Zhaoyang's neck directly, almost severing it. Bang! Yi Qinghan's body twisted in the air and punched Xia Zhaoyang's head. Xia Zhaoyang, I'm punching you on behalf of Bailey Longxian's dragon pet. Yi Qinghan roared angrily. Xia Zhaoyang's soul fell into chaos. His throat was blocked by his internal organs, and he spat out fragments. His body tore through the void and crashed into the distance. Roar! Yi Qinghan's face became ferocious. Resentment and unwillingness poured out. Die! Boom! The evil soul controlled Yi Qinghan's golden body and elbowed Xia Zhaoyang's chest. Crack! Bang! Xia Zhaoyang's back was penetrated. His sternum and ribs were all broken. His body arched and fell in a straight line. Boom! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's body exploded. He shattered the sky with one finger. The second finger of the sacred finger of annihilation hit Xia Zhaoyang's head and sent his body into the ground. Whoosh! Boom! Yi Qinghan shifted his body and chased him underground. His iron fists were like knives as they bombarded Xia Zhaoyang's body. Xia Zhaoyang didn't even have a chance to resist. His body was filled with evil spirits, and his soul was surrounded by countless vengeful spirits. They tore at his broken but powerful soul. Xia Zhaoyang's sea of consciousness was filled with the screams and roars of the vengeful spirits, as if he had fallen into an endless purgatory. He was the Saint Lord, the first great saint of the past, but now he was being tortured. His limbs and bones were all broken, and his arms and legs were broken by Yi Qinghan. Some of them were broken by the evil spirits controlling Yi Qinghan's golden body of the utmost saint. The evil soul's final resentment was vented on Xia Zhaoyang. It knew that it could not break free from Yi Qinghan's imprisonment. In the end, it was devoured and refined by Yi Qinghan, becoming a part of Yi Qinghan's power. Yi Qinghan tormented Xia Zhaoyang's soul like a mad demon. A great sage's soul was almost indestructible. Apart from the evil souls that had forcefully devoured the souls of great sages, no one had ever killed a great sage. At that moment, the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage, the Holy Emperor, and the other grand sages felt their hair stand on end as they retreated. They did not dare to fight back. The balance was broken, and Yi Qinghan's insane sect dominated the world. Even the combined power of all the forces in the eternal world could not compete with them. Yi Qinghan's final move, the star-plucking hand, crushed the earth and crushed Xia Zhaoyang's golden body. Even his soul was crushed. Yi Qinghan had done something that even great sages would be terrified of. He swallowed Xia Zhaoyang's soul and forcibly refined it. It was not the evil soul that refined Xia Zhaoyang's soul, but Yi Qinghan. He's crazy. This kind of behavior will incur the wrath of the heavens. The sages were terrified, and the great sages screamed. Even Xiahou he felt that Yi Qinghan's actions were too much. However, Yi Qinghan did not care about what others thought of him. Instead, he focused on refining the exhausted evil soul. His powerful soul enveloped the evil soul, refining and devouring it step by step. At first, the evil soul wanted to struggle, but in the end, there was only unwillingness. Yi Qinghan's soul had already transcended beyond his fleshly body. If he were to abandon his fleshly body now, he could instantly crush a great sage. However, the gains would not make up for the losses. If he wanted to create a perfect golden body of the Paragon Sage, he wouldn't be able to do so even in 1,000,000 years. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and roared into the sky. The veins on his body bulged as if he was shouting at the heavens. Whoosh, crack crack crack. A bolt of lightning thicker than a bucket struck Yi Qinghan's head with extreme speed. It pierced through his entire body, and the aftermath shattered mountains and rivers. The earth trembled. It was the wrath of the heavens. Yi Qinghan had angered the world's consciousness. The heavens were furious. After the first bolt of lightning struck, it was followed by a despairing thunder punishment. It was even more powerful than a great sage's attack. Dark clouds covered the sky, and lightning formed within them like fire burning the clouds. Whoosh! The sages retreated, leaving Yi Qinghan alone at the border of the coiling dragon's secret realm. Boom! Bang bang bang! Yi Qinghan punched the thunder punishment lightning, and each punch pierced through the lightning. His yin-yang Bagua Taoist robe was shattered, and immortal spiritual energy transformed into a battle robe. He was like a war immortal, looking down on the world and the heavens. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Crack crack crack. Countless lightning bolts did not know exhaustion, and they surrounded him. Yi Qinghan flew through the air, fighting with the lightning bolts. He kept approaching the thunder punishment clouds, trying to destroy it. Boom! A huge hand that blotted out the sky grabbed the thunder punishment cloud. Endless immortal spiritual energy gathered and wrapped around the thunder punishment cloud, wanting to crush it. Whoosh! Roar! The lightning turned into a giant dragon, and its mouth engulfed Yi Qinghan. The giant dragon swung its tail, and Yi Qinghan was constantly pressed down. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like lightning, and he glared at the heavens. His legs shattered the earth, and he took to the air, wanting to compete with the world's consciousness. Boom! The star-picking palm squeezed the clouds out of shape, but the endless lightning struggled for a long time, and finally shattered the star-picking palm. At this moment, it was like the end of the world, and no one could escape from fate. Yi Qinghan directly attacked the giant lightning dragon with his sage golden body. The 7-foot heavy saber cut through time and space, and he charged to the end of the sky, and slashed at the lightning. Crack crack crack. Roar! The lightning dragon seemed to be alive, and it crushed the mountains and rivers. It shook violently, and Yi Qinghan's hand was about to split. Blood flowed out, and it dyed the golden body red. Boom! Yi Qinghan directly reached out to grab the thunder punishment lightning. His body was broken inch by inch, and his flesh was mangled. However, his soul used every bit of immortal spiritual energy to quickly restore his body. His flesh wriggled, and new life bloomed in the broken body. Yi Qinghan fought bravely, and he used the thunder punishment clouds to refine his golden body, and his golden body became stronger. World's consciousness. Are you declaring war on me? Yi Qinghan grinned and growled. Whoosh! Devouring the souls of the great sages, and the heavens will not tolerate it. Today I will kill you. A line of immortal words crossed the sky, and it stole people's souls. Ridiculous! When the evil souls devoured the great sages, why didn't you send down any heavenly punishment? The heavenly punishment can't kill the evil souls, and it can't kill me either. If you open the passage and let me take my friends away, I will still worship you as the heavens in the future. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan shattered the giant lightning dragon with a punch. He stepped on the clouds, and it was as if he could see the origin of the world's consciousness. Ridiculous! The world's consciousness seemed to have been provoked by an ant. It was like the creatures in Yi Qinghan's world were provoking Yi Qinghan. It was unforgivable. Yi Qinghan slammed his palm into the thunderclouds below his feet. His aura soared, but it didn't shatter the thunderclouds. The heavenly punishment was the heavenly punishment. Since the world's consciousness could control everything, it naturally wouldn't take Yi Qinghan seriously. Yi Qinghan wouldn't let the world's consciousness control his life and death. He coldly replied, "World's consciousness, I've always convinced people with virtue and reason. I tried to reason with the evil souls, but they didn't listen. They insisted on provoking me, and I refined them in the end. Now, I'm trying to reason with you. I hope that the evil souls will be your lesson. Don't provoke me again." Chapter 2240. Yi Qinghan pointed at the sky as a warning. This meant that he was declaring war against the heavens. Many people escaped from the Coiling Dragon's secret realm and rushed towards the Coiling Dragon Island. Only Chess Saint, Fanning, the Adjudicator, Jin Lei Longpeng, and Lin Wutian were left behind. The people from the insane sect were unwilling to leave. They stood 1,000 miles below Yi Qinghan. Lin Wutian waved his hand and said, "Martial uncles, you can't help much now. Leave the Coiling Dragon's secret realm and gather at the 9 States Madness residence." Yan Ao knew how to fight. If he stayed, he would only be a burden to Yi Qinghan. It was better to leave. "Let's leave this place and let the boss focus on the battle," Yan Ao said. Everyone knew that. Lin Wutian and Yan Ao had spoken. The saints of the insane sect retreated. Even the universal love saint was forcefully taken away. Only Yi Qinghan, Fanning, the Adjudicator, Lin Wutian, Chess Saint, Jin Lei Longpeng, and the omnipotent sage had left. The Adjudicator and Fanning were Skywalkers. They were ready to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. They wanted to become enemies with Yi Qinghan. Lin Wutian drew his sword and pointed it at the Adjudicator. Screech. Jin Lei Longpeng was grateful to Yi Qinghan for his revenge. How could he leave when Yi Qinghan needed help the most? He spread his wings and wanted to tear the heavens apart. Disobedient. The heavens gave the order to kill. Fanning was bathed in celestial light. The immortal sealing mark stirred up the celestial spiritual energy and forcefully raised Fanning to the great saint realm. She was a legendary expert in the past, second only to Xia Jiulong. Now, she had devoured Xia Jiulong's memories. Xia Jiulong's memories also contained the memories and techniques of the 9 Stars Saint. Fanning's combat power was not much weaker than Yi Qinghan's. She represented 2 legends. One was Xia Jiulong, and the other was the 9 Stars Saint. Fanning drew a beautiful mark with her finger. The immortal sealing mark on her forehead was captivating. If you apologize to the heavens now, perhaps the heavens will spare your life. I will still be your senior sister." The sound of Sanskrit shattered the heavens, and immortal light rushed out of the shackles. The sound of the heavens shook, and the mountains and rivers shattered. The solemn and stirring sound of battle swept out, as if millions upon millions of troops were on a punitive expedition. Yi Qinghan frowned and looked at Fanning. He clenched his fist and his aura soared to the sky. His fighting spirit was high as he replied majestically, "Ask for forgiveness from the heavens?" "Senior sister. Previously, I didn't want to explain to you because I didn't have the ability to protect myself. You were my enemy and attacked me several times. I don't blame you. But let me tell you now, the birth and fall of civilizations are all under the control of the world's consciousness. It is using humans to cultivate to become immortal. Your memories will be transmitted to it through the immortal sealing imprint, and all your insights will be used by it. It sees the common people as ants. Do you think it gave us immortal techniques for the common people? You're wrong, all of you are wrong. It's just using the evil souls to force us to unleash our potential and cultivate immortal spells to dispel its doubts." Fanning's expression was cold. She snorted and said, You're still stubborn. Everything we have is bestowed by the heavens. Back then, you respected the heavens and the common people. Why have you become like this now? You see the common people as nothing and the heavens as your enemy. The evil souls slaughter the common people, and you escape without a trace. Previously, when 6 great sages surrounded the evil souls, you didn't care about the lives of the great sages. You insisted that the great sages use their lives to wear down the evil souls before you attacked. I can see your heart clearly. Ha! Yi Qinghan laughed maniacally, his voice filled with helplessness and sorrow. Senior sister, do you think I want to be like this? I attacked before, but unfortunately, Xia Zheyang and the other great sages attacked me together. They wanted to destroy me and the evil souls together. And you attacked too. Yi Qinghan roared angrily. You're lying through your teeth. When did I want to destroy you and the evil souls together? Fan Yin rebuked angrily. Yi Qinghan broke the balance of time and space, traveled back half a day, and changed everything. Fan Yin didn't know, and didn't have any memories of that time. This was something that had not happened yet, but to Yi Qinghan, it had already happened. Because I broke the balance of time and space, returned to the time before the Sacred War started, and regained another chance. Otherwise, I would be dead now. Yi Qinghan replied coldly. I didn't expect you to learn how to quibble now. You've really disappointed me. Fan Yin didn't understand, and mobilized the immortal sealing imprint to attack. At this moment, Lin Wutian waved his hand and took out Void Palace number 9. He said in a low voice, I have evidence to prove that Master is right. Senior sister Fan Yin, if Master wanted to be your enemy, he would have killed you long ago. Do you think it's your turn to attack him? Whoosh. I am a product of the previous civilization. Back then, Eternal World was not called Eternal World, but Ravenous Wolf World. Our civilization discovered that all energy in the world is conserved. Otherwise, order would collapse and all living things would cease to exist, including the world itself. At a certain point in time, you can break the balance and leave this world. You can even travel to the future and the past. I was the one who reminded Yi Qinghan to break the balance and travel to the past. Even if he had traveled from the future to the present, you would not know what he had experienced before. Thus, you would not have any memories of him traveling to the time before the Holy War broke out. Holding the blade of judgment, the adjudicator looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and said in a low voice, If you break the balance again and take us back with you, we should have some memories, right? Yi Qinghan shook his head and replied, I broke the balance in an instant because I cooperated with the power of the evil souls. I only traveled to half a day ago. Now that the world's consciousness is adjusting the balance, I can no longer break the balance, at least not for the time being. So you don't have any evidence to prove what you're saying now? Chess Venerable asked in a low voice. Only then did Yi Qinghan pay attention to Chess Venerable. He was the most respected person in the past, but now he didn't know if he was a friend or foe. It was the same for Fan Yin. Chess Venerable, I only have one question for you. Are you the world's consciousness or not? Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. Chess Venerable's eyes shone brightly, and the wisdom in his eyes was shocking. If such a person really set up a plan, it would be flawless. Yi Qinghan couldn't imagine that a human could have such wisdom. I'm just a heaven venerable. You can call me a Skywalker. Back then, I warned you that if you go against the heavenly Tao, someone will take care of you. Chess Venerable said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan laughed self-deprecatingly. He didn't expect Chess Venerable to have foreseen that this day would come. If such a person wasn't the world's consciousness, who else could he be? Yi, I quite like you. If you commit suicide, I'll guarantee that your crazy sect will continue to be passed down, Chess Venerable said with a dignified expression. Yi Qinghan bowed deeply to Chess Venerable, then cupped his fists and said, Chess Venerable, thank you for saving my life back then. You saved the land of the 9 prefectures once. I owe you. If you insist on being my enemy, I'll stay away from you. I hope you can give me and yourself a chance. After he finished speaking, Yi Qinghan waved his hand and signaled for Jin Lei, Long Peng, and Lin Wutian to retreat all the way out of the Coiling Dragon Mystic Realm and back to the Coiling Dragon Island. Unfortunately, the heavens were enraged. How could they spare Yi Qinghan, who had escaped from their control? Skywalkers were the sabers in the hands of the heavens. Wherever the heavens pointed to, the sabers would destroy. The 3 experts gave chase and forced Yi Qinghan and the other 2 back to the eternal world. Their battle intent and killing intent soared to the heavens, and the immortal sealing imprint seized the air. Their aura soared to the stars, and they commanded the world. Anyone who kills Yi Qinghan will be rewarded by the heavens. Fanine was like a fairy as she hovered in the sky and spoke to the sages who had retreated to the outside world. Chapter 2241. Fanine followed closely until Yi Qinghan had nowhere to run. Yi Qinghan looked at all the saints in the world who were rushing over from afar, including the two great saints, Tong Tian and Emperor Zhisheng. His heart was in a mess, and he thought to himself, could it be that the world's consciousness had even planned this step? Let us destroy ourselves and let this civilization fall naturally? Besides Xiahou He, even Wu Zhenjuan made a move. Among all the sages in the world, only Xiahou He did not make a move. Yi Qinghan looked at the people approaching and felt extremely sad. Wu Zhenjuan shouted sternly, Yi Qinghan, if you don't die, my two daughters will not die. Today, you have angered the heavens and there is no way out. If you still have some conscience, don't implicate the sages of the Kuang sect and my two daughters. Hiss, Yi Qinghan sucked in a cold breath of air. His sword was trembling crazily as he stared at Fan Yin and the adjudicator. In truth, the crux of the matter was these two celestials. If the heavens didn't have a blade, how were they supposed to slaughter everyone? The sages of the Kuang sect were surrounded by other sages. There were only 12 of them, but there were more than 20 of them. The other sages of the Kuang sect were still in the land of chaos. The Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage and the Holy Emperor were both veteran great sages. In addition, there was the Adjudicator and Fanine, as well as the Unknown Chess Master and the Mysterious World Consciousness. They had formed an alliance. Yi Qinghan only had Jin Lei, Long Peng, and Lin Wutian behind him. Not to mention the chances of winning, whether they could survive was a problem. Even if they fought to the death, the end result was obvious. Both sides would suffer and die together, and the one who benefited was the world's consciousness. In the land of chaos, the immortal peach tree led the Kuang sect's people into the passage of the small domain. However, as soon as they reached the border, an invisible boundary blocked the immortal peach tree. Even the immortal peach tree's all-knowing ability could not pass through this invisible boundary. The world's consciousness blocked them in the land of chaos. It did not allow them to enter the big world, nor did it allow them to leave. It did not kill them either. No one could guess what the world's consciousness wanted to do. Immortal peach tree, you have accompanied me for countless years and experienced so many civilizations. You should know what I want. The world's consciousness spoke for the first time. The immortal peach tree stared at the sky and said in a low voice, what do you want? Leave Emperor Yi, Bai Shaoxing and the primordial green lotus to me. Let the saints of the eccentric sect enter the great world to participate in the battle. You can hide in the land of nothingness. I'll give you another chance to live. He stepped towards Fanine, and his voice was deep, hoarse, and helpless. I also didn't expect my final enemy to not be the evil soul, but you. Fanine replied in a low voice. Yi Qinghan stepped on the mountains and rivers, and his voice was vast and mighty. He said indifferently, you fight for the heavens, for the common people, and I fight for myself. My life is in my hands, and not the heavens. Anyone who stands in my way will die. You are no exception. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. His immortal robe was cold, and his battle intent was roaring. Little master, leave Tong Tian and GD to me. You can focus on dealing with the adjudicator and Fanine. Lin Wutian pointed his sword to the sky, and his battle intent soared. In this life, I have fought with you. It has been wonderful. Without you, there would be no me. Even if I die in this battle, I will not regret it. Even if blood stains the mountains and rivers, I will not regret it. Even if the heavens fall and the earth rends, I will not compromise. Yi Qinghan had his back to Lin Wutian, but his battle intent was surging. When he heard Lin Wutian's words, he roared to the sky, and his black hair danced wildly. His long blade cut through the void, and he laughed. In this life, I have compromised once. Since then, the heavens have taught me that compromise is useless. Then, if you die in battle, I will destroy the heavens. I will bury the common people with you. Even if we die, we will not regret it. The saints of the Kuang sect formed a circle, back to back. They drew their holy weapons, and their battle intent soared to the sky. They were never afraid of their teammates betraying them. They had always put their lives in the hands of their teammates. As brothers, so what if they became enemies with the heavens? Indaku Qingyu held his sword and roared at Yi Qinghan in the distance. Qinghan, do you still remember the battle with Xiao Zhanxing? Even if we die today, we will not compromise. Enemies will always be enemies. They will not pity us. I remember. Good brother, I was ashamed to face Xiao Zhanxing back then. Now, I will not be ashamed to face the Kuang sect. I will not let you down. Yi Qinghan's battle intent had reached its peak, and he had already condensed his killing intent toward Fan Yin. Boom! Yi Qinghan's step shattered the mountains and rivers, and his long blade slashed toward Fan Yin. He was unstoppable. The adjudicator activated the Blade of Judgment, and it broke through the void, aiming for Yi Qinghan's back. The real battle of the end of the world had just begun. Chapter 2242. Boom. The moment Zhong Kuang appeared, it fought against the heavens and all living beings. Yi Qinghan slashed at the immortal sealing imprint. Light shot into the sky as Zhong Kuang trembled rapidly. If not for the protection of the immortal spiritual energy, Zhong Kuang would have shattered. Bang! The immortal sealing imprint was an immortal weapon after all. It easily withstood Yi Qinghan's attack. Combined with Fan Yin's power, it actually suppressed Yi Qinghan. The Blade of Judgment attacked from behind. In the blink of an eye, it was behind Yi Qinghan. Boom! Yi Qinghan used the recoil force from the immortal sealing imprint to turn around and slash at the Blade of Judgment. Crack! Bang! This attack contained Yi Qinghan's peak strength. Zhong Kuang was broken. The adjudicator seemed to have been attacked by an immortal. The Blade of Judgment was sent flying. Its body was like a kite with a broken string as it flew into the distance. Yi Qinghan wanted to follow up with another attack, but Fan Yin did not give him the chance. The immortal sealing imprint descended from the sky, trying to suppress him. In an instant, the sky was crushed by the immortal sealing imprint. Time and space were distorted, and the great world sank under the pressure. Yi Qinghan flipped his palm and pressed it directly under the immortal sealing imprint. His feet were on the ground, and his hands were supporting the sky. His soul seized the air, and his will controlled the surroundings. The immortal patterns on the immortal sealing imprint collapsed the great Tao. Even the holy golden body was about to be crushed into powder. Yi Qinghan roared in anger. His legs were bent from the pressure. The immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield was activated. His hands flipped the sky and the ground cracked. A deep chasm appeared. Yi Qinghan flipped the sky. His physical body forcefully destroyed the immortal sealing imprint, and he smashed Fan Yin into the void. How much he liked it in the past was how angry he was now. Yi Qinghan smashed the immortal sealing imprint away. He swept his leg across, and it was comparable to Zhong Kuang. It tore through time and space, and he charged towards Fan Yin. Whoosh! Fan Yin's speed was not inferior to the art of shifting. He grabbed the immortal sealing imprint and dodged. Then, he activated the immortal sealing imprint to form a spiral slash. It drew an arc in the void and went straight for Yi Qinghan's throat. Boom! Yi Qinghan flew through the air and stepped on the imprint, sinking it. He punched out a golden dragon that shattered the void, wanting to devour the Sanskrit. Immortal mark! Fan Yin stared at the incoming golden dragon and formed a seal with both her hands. She used her immortal spirit energy to form an immortal seal. With a slap of her jade-like hand, the immortal seal collided with the golden dragon. Boom! Immortal techniques against the golden body of utmost holiness. The golden dragon cracked the immortal seal, but the energy dissipated. Then, Yi Qinghan's fist smashed Fan Yin's immortal seal. His iron-like bones were broken, and blood splattered across the sky. Yi Qinghan's face twisted in pain, but this was not the time to cry out in pain. Yi Qinghan's fist was broken, but his arm was bent and his elbow was aimed at Fan Yin's head. If this elbow hit, Fan Yin would definitely be severely injured. Unfortunately, Fan Yin was not fighting alone. The adjudicator saw an opportunity. The adjudicator broke the void and slashed at Fan Yin's back. Fan Yin twisted her body and dodged the adjudicator's blade. The adjudicator's blade slashed at Yi Qinghan's arm. Whoosh! The Immortal Sect's 5 Elements Golden Bell shield protected his right arm. His elbow slammed into the adjudicator's blade. In an instant, it was as if a mountain had collapsed and a star had exploded. Flames spread in all directions. The balance of the 5 elements in Yi Qinghan's body was broken. A deep cut appeared on his arm, and golden blood stained the adjudicator's blade. Die! Yi Qinghan roared. His left hand grabbed the back of the adjudicator's blade, and he pulled it out. With a sweep of his leg, he hit the adjudicator's head. Bang! The adjudicator's body broke through the sky and smashed into the ground like a meteor. His mind was in a mess, and he almost fainted. However, Yi Qinghan did not have it easy. His arm was almost cut off, and the bones in his hand were broken. His body was sent flying by the impact. At this moment, Fan Yin reacted. Holding the immortal sealing imprint, he smashed it at Yi Qinghan's back. Yi Qinghan had no time to dodge. He could only maintain the balance of the 5 elements and activate the Immortal Sect's 5 Elements Golden Bell Shield to resist the immortal sealing imprint. Boom! Bang! Yi Qinghan's back was hit by the immortal sealing imprint. His body was sent flying like the adjudicator. No matter how strong the Immortal Sect's 5 Elements Golden Bell Shield was, the impact was too much for him to bear. He coughed up blood. I'll send you on your way. Fan Yin succeeded. He activated the immortal sealing imprint with both hands and chased after him. The two of them sped through the air. Yi Qinghan's physical body could not match his soul. His soul was too strong. After devouring the sinful soul and Xia Zhayang's soul, it was almost comparable to an undying immortal. However, his physical body was still the same. At this moment, he did not have the strength. Roar! Yi Qinghan's physical body was falling, but his soul left his body and transformed into a demon roaring at the sky. The powerful soul attack was unstoppable. It bypassed the immortal sealing imprint and blasted into Fan Yin's sea of consciousness. Screech! The soul attack exploded in Fan Yin's sea of consciousness. Just as lightning flashed and thunder roared, Fan Yin hurriedly retracted the immortal sealing imprint to protect his soul. However, he was still too slow. His soul was severely injured, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Yi Qinghan's soul quickly returned to its original position and was smashed to the ground by his physical body. However, this was the best time for him to kill or severely injure Fan Yin. How could he give up? He slapped the ground with his left hand. The air blast sent him flying the moment he landed. His knee broke through space and crashed into Fan Yin's abdomen. Ka. One could even hear the sound of space shattering. If this attack hit, Fan Yin would be severely injured even if he did not die. Just as lightning flashed and thunder roared, the chess venerable, who was supposed to be held back by the golden thunder dragon rock, suddenly broke through the void. It was as if he was originally beside Fan Yin. He struck out with his palm. Although it looked casual, it could actually kill a sage. Boom! Yi Qinghan's face was ferocious. Even though he knew that the chess venerable's palm could injure him, he still wanted to kill Fan Yin. It had nothing to do with revenge, but to protect himself. Whoosh! The Immortal Sect's 5 Elements Golden Bell Shield exploded. Yi Qinghan's knee continued to strike Fan Yin. However, his left hand exploded with the space-piercing star-plucking palm and grabbed at the chess venerable. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Ka. Time and space were distorted. Yi Qinghan was fighting 1 against 3. He was not afraid of death. His right arm was still recovering. However, it was torn apart by the ruling blade. It was impossible for it to recover completely. Boom! Yi Qinghan's left hand landed on the chess venerable's palm. Although his right arm was still bleeding, he could not care less. His right elbow struck at the chess venerable's neck. The knee that was aimed at Fan Yin's abdomen turned into a whip kick. The momentum did not change. His target was still Fan Yin. Bam! Yi Qinghan also thought that his attack would be able to kill Fan Yin, but he did not expect the sacred chess venerate to be so terrifying. He retracted his arms and unleashed 10 times the power within an inch. The attack penetrated the immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield and sent Yi Qinghan flying tens of thousands of miles away. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's body felt like it was about to explode. He was bleeding profusely. The difference of a millimeter was huge. Yi Qinghan's whip kick missed Fan in the moment it struck him. It all happened in an instant. Screech! The golden thunder dragon rock did not catch sight of the chess venerable. It swooped down and caught Yi Qinghan, who was flying backward. It carried Yi Qinghan and soared into the sky. Its wings flapped against the river and they traveled tens of thousands of miles in an instant. Catch up to him. Don't let him escape. This is our last chance. The chess venerable did not even care about the saints of the insane sect who were fighting against all the saints in the world. He also did not care that Lin Wutian was fighting 1 against 2. He turned around and rushed towards the golden thunder dragon rock. Blurg! Yi Qinghan vomited blood. Golden blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. He half knelt on the back of the golden thunder dragon rock. The 5 elements flowed through his limbs and bones, healing his injured body rapidly. His right arm was also recovering rapidly. Even if he could not recover to his peak, there was nothing he could do. Chapter 2243. Whoosh! The golden lightning dragon rock was as fast as lightning. Although it wasn't teleportation, it could tear the void apart with a flap of its wings. In the blink of an eye, it had reached the territory of the Holy Empire. Whoosh! However, the chess venerate was even faster. He crushed the stars with one hand and formed an immortal weapon. The immortal patterns were vast and mighty, and could kill all enemies in the world. Yi Qinghan knew the space-piercing star-picking hand, and the chess venerate knew it too. He wasn't a sage, but a veteran great sage who had entered the great sage realm many years ago. The chess venerate wasn't the consciousness of the world, but a Skywalker from the previous generation. With the immortal sword seizing space, he reached the end of the world in the blink of an eye. Boom boom boom. The immortal weapon shattered everything in its path. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan couldn't be bothered to heal his injuries. He reached out and formed a 7-foot heavy saber. His palms crossed, and immortal patterns appeared on the blade. His right hand held the hilt, and his left hand touched the blade. The immortal patterns became even more prominent, and a sharp saber aura was released, turning into bolts of lightning that tore through the mountains and rivers. Boom! Yi Qinghan stepped on the back of the golden thunder dragon rock and stomped on it viciously, sinking the golden thunder dragon rock into the ground. He wielded his saber and charged at the celestial sword. The saber aura sliced through the order and crashed onto the celestial sword conjured by the chess grandmaster. Both were celestial weapons conjured by the 6th style of the star-plucking hand. Crack crack crack. The immortal weapon shattered and crumbled. Roar! Yi Qinghan roared, and the heavenly dragon rushed out of his body. His soul transformed into the strongest immortal dragon, and he wouldn't stop until he killed all his enemies. Yi Qinghan's supreme soul shattered the broken immortal sword and charged at the chess venerate's soul. The chess venerate was surrounded by galaxies, forming a galaxy map that surrounded his golden body. Inside, there was the immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield, forming a double layer of defense. However, he was still shocked. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan's soul to be so strong. Boom! Yi Qinghan's soul was unstoppable. It broke through the galaxies, destroyed the immortal sect's 5 elements golden bell shield, and landed on the chess venerate's arms. Bam! Poof! The Saint Chess venerate's body flew backward and crashed into the ground, creating a deep trench. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists, and the veins on his body bulged. He roared towards the sky, and the immortal energy in his body burst out, sending smoke and dust in all directions. Boom! Yi Qinghan threw a punch at chess venerable saint, who was lying in a pool of blood. The ground collapsed from the shockwave as it kept sinking. At this moment, Fanine and the adjudicator attacked again. The 2 immortal weapons seized the air and arrived. The light of judgment surged through the long river, stirring up a tragic melody that made one's blood boil. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to retreat. No matter how strong he was, There was no way he could stand against 3 experts working together. Fanning, you'll regret it one day. Yi Qinghan roared as he flew backwards, hoping to make her turn around. You're the one who will regret it. Do you really think that no one in the world can kill a saint? Those who are recognized by the heavens are the sons of the heavens. Killing a saint is the same as killing the son of the heavens. It's an unforgivable sin. You killed a saint in the early stages, and the heavens forgave you. But you still want to kill a great saint after destroying a sinful soul. The heavens won't forgive you. Fanning formed a seal with both hands, controlling the immortal sealing mark, and charged towards Yi Qinghan. Boom! Yi Qinghan's fists were bathed in immortal light, and immortal patterns were engraved on them. They collided violently with the immortal sealing mark. Even the toughest bones could not withstand an immortal weapon. Yi Qinghan used this force to fly backwards, and appeared on the back of the golden thunder dragon rock. His eyes were ferocious, and he said in a low voice, "Dragon Rock Grand Sage, transform into armor with me. Enhance my golden body. Life or death depends on this battle." Screech! The golden thunder dragon rock also wanted to live. He formed a contract with Yi Qinghan, and fused into Yi Qinghan's body, imprinted on his back. Boom! Yi Qinghan bent his arms, and a pair of golden wings grew out of his back. The holy golden body became stronger again. Now, it not only contained the blood of the dragon and the great bloodlines, but also the blood of the golden thunder dragon rock. His physical body became stronger, and he evolved again. Yi Qinghan roared like a wild beast. With a flap of his wings, the mountains and rivers twisted, and dragon scales grew out of his arms. At this moment, his arms were immortal weapons. His physical body was the great sage weapon. Don't fight them head-on. It's better to break them one by one. The divine bird could not do anything, and could only come up with a plan. At this moment, Yi Qinghan could only deal with whatever came his way. With the 3 celestials attacking, he did not have the time to think of a plan. The divine bird filled this gap. Yi Qinghan squinted his eyes at the 3 celestials. Perhaps the adjudicators were the easiest to kill. Don't tangle with them. The world's consciousness might want to use you to suppress the 3 of them, and force them to become undying immortals, so that it can steal their cultivation experience. If you waste too much time with them, the world's consciousness will succeed. The divine bird continued to remind him. Hiss hiss hiss. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and clenched his fists. His murderous aura filled the sky. At this moment, in the hinterland of the world, Lin Wutan commanded 10,000 swords. Even the mountains, rocks, and trees turned into sharp swords, and rushed towards the 2 veteran great sages. The 10,000 swords attacked together, and the visual impact of the sword made the 2 great sages feel like they were facing the strongest ancient green lotus. The saintly destroying finger could shatter mountains and rivers, but the green lotus sword fairy could kill a great sage with the green lotus sword song. The green lotus sword song was definitely not inferior to the saintly destroying finger. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Lin Wutan's sword turned into 10,000 swords and blocked the 2 great sages. His body was crippled, but the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage and the Emperor Absolute Saint were both stabbed. However, they did not hit their vital points, and their combat power decreased significantly. If this continued, at most, they would die together. However, Lin Wutan was not afraid. This time, he was prepared to die to repay the insane sect and Yi Qinghan's kindness in raising him. However, the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage and the Emperor Absolute Saint were different. They wanted to become undying immortals. 2 of them were afraid of death, and 1 was not afraid of death. The 9 great sages of the insane sect were full of fighting spirit. Zhou Shuguang and the Emperor Absolute Saint were killing their way through the crowd. The Universal Love Saint's eyes were filled with destructive light, and within the destruction, there was life and temptation. Anyone who fell into his trap would die without a doubt. The insane sect's members were fighting 1 against 2. Jiang Jingtian and Gu Qingyu, who were leading the group, were fighting 3 great sages. There was no way around it. The difference in numbers was too great. Many of the insane sect's experts were injured, but they were not afraid of death. Even if they died, they would take 2 of their great sages with them. Therefore, although they were at a disadvantage, they had the upper hand in terms of momentum. At this moment, only Xiaohohe was standing on a mountain peak in the distance, watching the fierce battles of the sacred war. He wanted to help the Guangzong and return the favor to Yi Qinghan, but he didn't know if it was right or wrong. Huff huff huff, Xiaoho, he took a deep breath. The Xiaoho Holy Land had been destroyed, and even their ancestor, the supreme Xiaoho, was dead. This was all because of the evil spirit. The one who killed the evil spirit was not the heavens, nor the great sages, but Yi Qinghan. Crack crack crack. Xiaoho, he clenched his iron fist, looked up at the sky, and said hoarsely, "I don't owe you anything, but I owe Yi Qinghan. Even if I'm wrong, I'm willing to pay with my life." Whoosh. Xiaoho, he struggled for a long time, but he still made his move. He swung his sword at the chief of a holy nation, the only great world saint who was willing to help the insane sect. Chapter 2244. Xiaohohe made his move. Even though he was only a saint, his battle power was impressive. He managed to push back a saint. The Guangzong's aura was unstoppable. Everyone was stained with saint blood. The blood of the enemy was more of their own blood. At this moment, Lin Wutan was powerless. He couldn't even protect himself, let alone help the Guangzong. In the distance, Yi Qinghan fought against the 3 celestials by himself. His attacks were earth-shattering, but he was losing. It wasn't that he wasn't strong enough, but that his opponents were too strong. 2 of the 3 celestials had immortal weapons. Even with the support of the golden lightning dragon rock, there was nothing he could do. Dong, dong, dong. Yi Qinghan's breathing was hurried. His heart couldn't bear such a heavy battle. He could only retreat as he fought, luring the 3 into the sky above the sea. The 3 celestials didn't know fatigue. Their small injuries were quickly healed. With the help of the heavens, this was a real cheat. Even a freak like Yi Qinghan felt helpless. Whoosh, 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 Fanning, the adjudicator, and the chess master attacked the depths of the sea in a triangular formation. Their immortal weapons glowed with immortal light. Yi Qinghan only had half of his berserk left. With a flap of his wings, the waves soared into the sky. His eyes shone with majesty as he stared at the 3 experts. If we continue fighting like this, both sides will be injured. But if we leave without fighting, the Guangzong will be finished. Yi Qinghan wasn't willing to give up. He put away half of his berserk and grabbed the sea. A giant beast seemed to roar from the depths of the sea. A whirlpool twisted out 4 berserk blades with immortal marks. The berserk blades left the sea and went straight for Fanning and the chess master. Yi Qinghan's original body was like lightning. His iron fists smashed the void as he attacked the adjudicator. Boom! Bang! The arbiter was unafraid of death, and it was his belief to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Killing Yi Qinghan was his only goal now, and he would not regret it even if he died in battle. To the common people he was a hero, but to Yi Qinghan, he was somewhat ignorant. However, if Yi Qinghan had not encountered Void Palace No. 9, perhaps he would have been as ignorant as him. No one else could be blamed. Yi Qinghan understood that this battle was not a vendetta. It was just that their duties were different. He only had killing intent, not hatred. Boom! Yi Qinghan's iron fist was enveloped by the 5 elements golden bell shield. It slammed into the blade of judgment and the golden bell shield was sliced apart. However, amidst the flashes of lightning and thunder, Yi Qinghan's iron fist turned into a palm. He gripped the blade of judgment and his body transformed into an immortal weapon as he slammed into the arbiter. Bang! Crack! The arbiter's ribs were all broken. Yi Qinghan was unforgiving. His body dodged the blade of judgment, and his right hand let go of the blade of judgment. He used the Tai Chi Immortal Cannon's sticky word technique and reached out to grab the arbiter's wrist. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not shake off Yi Qinghan. In close combat, Yi Qinghan was unstoppable. His right hand was on the arbiter's wrist, and his body slid down from below. His left hand pressed against the arbiter's right arm, and his long leg kicked towards the arbiter's lower abdomen. Bang! Yi Qinghan's kick caused the arbiter's qi and blood to churn. Before he could even resist, Yi Qinghan broke his right arm and forcefully took away the blade of judgment. However, the blade of judgment was under the control of the arbiter's soul. It struggled madly, carrying Yi Qinghan in the air above the sea. The immortal patterns automatically attacked Yi Qinghan's palm. Yi Qinghan's powerful palm was torn apart, and the terrifying immortal patterns continued to attack his body. He had no choice but to shake off the blade of judgment. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinghan had sent the arbiter flying. At the same time, Fanning and chess supremacy had also shattered the 4 berserk blades and surrounded Yi Qinghan. Whoosh! Suddenly, countless water spears shot out from the depths of the sea and almost pierced through Yi Qinghan. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The countless water spears formed a huge array, like a chessboard. They constantly changed their positions and trapped Yi Qinghan within the chessboard. Yi Qinghan looked around cautiously. He waved his palm to shatter the water spears. However, the water spears seemed to be formless, but they were also lethal, making it impossible for him to guard against them. Looking down from above, the chessboard array covered a radius of 1,000,000 miles. It was densely covered with stars. The stars were the sky and the sea was the ground. The sky seemed to be filled with life, but every step was a land of death. Whoosh! Fanning held the immortal sealing imprint. It could be used as a defensive shield and could also be used to attack. It was truly a peerless immortal weapon that was hard to find in the world. Whoosh whoosh! The water spears changed positions, and the gate of life was replaced by the gate of death. The gate of life disappeared. Yi Qinghan kept turning his body and waved his hand to form an immortal sword. He looked around, searching for the gate of life. Whoosh! Just as Yi Qinghan stared at the gate of death, the gate of life appeared. Fanning held her immortal weapon and stood at the gate of life. Yi Qinghan's back was facing her. She seized the opportunity. Boom! The immortal sealing imprint destroyed the water spears and turned into an immortal sword that slashed at Yi Qinghan's back. Yi Qinghan turned around suddenly and subconsciously raised his sword to clash with the immortal sealing imprint. The shockwave caused the sea to churn, but it could not break through the starry water spear array. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The gates of life and death changed again. There was now another gate of death, but there was also another gate of life. Although the adjudicator was injured, he still gritted his teeth and charged forward with his saber. He slashed at Yi Qinghan's back. Whoosh! Crack crack crack! Yi Qinghan mobilized his soul and turned it into a horrifying afterimage. He charged at the adjudicator like a demon. The adjudicator's sword slashed into the horrifying afterimage. His pupils shrank and he knew that he was in trouble. He could not resist at all. Just as he was about to explode, the demon turned into a sharp sword and stabbed into his consciousness. The adjudicator let go of the judgment and screamed in pain. His body crashed into the water spear. The water spear changed directions and the adjudicator disappeared from the array. The judgment blade also disappeared soon after. Outside the array, the adjudicator's face was pale. He was bleeding from all his orifices. His soul was almost shattered by Yi Qinghan's attack. He had a splitting headache. Chess Venerate Saint was controlling the array. He looked serious and reminded in a low voice, "His soul is the strongest now. Defend it. His physical body is at most on par with Fanning. The 3 of us can easily kill him." Huff huff huff, the adjudicator heaved a sigh of relief. He was sweating profusely. He waved his hand again and mobilized the judgment blade to charge into the water spear array. Yi Qinghan could not escape from the array. Chess Venerate Saint's chessboard array was comparable to the star chessboard. It was not easy to break out. The Chess Venerate Saint's wisdom was unparalleled. If one wanted to break out of the array set up by him, they could not take the normal route. Yi Qinghan recalled the first time he played chess with the Chess Venerate Saint. It was impossible to beat him with wisdom. He could only make himself look better by injuring both of them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The water spears changed directions. Fanning's afterimage hung upside down on the water spears. Every water spear had her reflection. It was impossible to locate her. Before Yi Qinghan could catch his breath, the adjudicator charged in again. Danger lurked everywhere. He was even more difficult to deal with. Yi Qinghan was alert and alert. He wanted to locate the chess venerate saint. If he wanted to break out of the array, he had to find the eye of the array. Chapter 2245. Fan Yin and the adjudicator did not give Yi Qinghan a chance. The two of them appeared alternately and attacked Yi Qinghan from behind. In the blink of an eye, they left a few bloody marks on Yi Qinghan's back. Although Yi Qinghan's reaction was fast, it was not faster than the two of them changing positions. His body became a burden. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan was burning with anger. He was naturally unwilling to give up his body. "Boss, we can't go on like this," the divine bird shouted. Yi Qinghan roared, "Then help me think of a way." "Do you think I can think of a way now?" The divine bird paced on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. When it saw Fan Yin attacking from behind again, it quickly retracted its head and rushed into its body, using the star-twisting vine to block it from behind. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless vines missed, but they could not stop Fan Yin's attack. The intense pain was like a rotten tree root. It would break with a touch, but it won in numbers. Even if it could only block for a breath's time, it was enough. Boom! Yi Qinghan countered with a slash of his saber. The water saber was shattered, but it still managed to send Fan Yin flying. However, if this continued, the star-twisting vine would not be able to hold on. It was not even a small saint. Both Fan Yin and the adjudicator's attacks could damage its core. The divine bird was anxious. If this continued, it would die. It did not want to die. This was its most glorious moment. It still wanted to go to the immortal world to flirt with fairies. How could it die here? Yi Qinghan was fighting. The divine bird looked at Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. Suddenly, it had a flash of inspiration. It ran out and shouted, "Boss, I understand. If the world's consciousness is a person, then is the sea his sea of bitterness? Can you know what's in the depths of your sea of bitterness? Can you control it? Obviously you can't. If we go to the depths of the sea to fight against the 3 Skywalkers, the world's consciousness won't be able to help them. If they are injured, they can only bear the consequences themselves." Yi Qinghan also wanted to escape into the depths of the sea, but the formation had already been formed. If he did not find the chess saint's real body, he would not be able to break out of this formation. However, the other two were like ghosts that would not leave him alone. He had no time to find the chess saint. Whatever Yi Qinghan was thinking, the divine bird could sense it. There was no need for words. The divine bird's eyes flashed as it recalled all of Yi Qinghan's abilities. Suddenly, it recalled the doppelganger technique it had learned back in the small world. It could directly tear apart the soul and create a new golden body. It could create 2 original bodies. It's too late to form a golden body now, but the golden thunder dragon rock can become your clone's flesh body. Your soul is strong enough, we can use low-level cultivation techniques to create miracles. The divine bird said. This sentence reminded Yi Qinghan. The cultivation techniques of the small world were indeed low-level, but sometimes they were very useful. Yi Qinghan was looking for an opportunity. Doppelganger could not be created overnight. If he was half a step slower, it could very well lead to the death of both bodies. In his sea of consciousness, Yi Qinghan summoned the star-twisting vine, the multicolored snake, and the golden thunder dragon rock. Prepare to split up. I will chase after Fan Yin. You guys block the adjudicator. Maintain speed and follow the gate of birth. It will be time for us to counterattack. In their bloodlines, the few sacred pets were boiling with excitement. They were all ready to fight. Yi Qinghan formed a new immortal sword. Immortal light soared into the sky as he quietly waited for the arrival of the 2 Skywalkers. The adjudicator was the first to attack. Yi Qinghan slashed with his sword and defeated the adjudicator. The adjudicator's hand almost broke from the impact. However, at this moment, Fan Yin attacked from behind. I've been waiting for you. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan suddenly turned around. The golden thunder dragon rock, the multicolored snake, and the star-twisting vine separated and chased after the retreating adjudicator. Meanwhile, Yi Qinghan used his body to attack Fan Yin's immortal sealing imprint. Boom. The immortal ceiling imprint's immortal pattern was shaken violently. Bang bang bang. Yi Qinghan threw more than 10 punches consecutively. Fan Yin was caught off guard and could only retreat from the Gate of Life. However, before the Gate of Life could change, Yi Qinghan chased after him. Boom! Yi Qinghan's palm landed on the immortal ceiling imprint. The majestic impact caused sacred blood to splatter everywhere. However, Fan Yin was beaten back repeatedly. Boom! Crack crack crack. Yi Qinghan's fists, elbows, and legs all became offensive weapons. Fan Yin was flustered. If not for the immortal ceiling imprint, these weapons would have been shattered by Yi Qinghan. At this moment, the adjudicator could not save Fan Yin in time. His blood was boiling from Yi Qinghan's powerful attacks. Now he was being attacked by the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock, the Star-Twisting Vine, and the multicolored snake. He could not even protect himself. Chess Venerate Saint controlled the array. He could either give up on Fan Yin and kill the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock and Yi Qinghan's 2 sacred pets, or give up on the array to save Fan Yin. Fan Yin could not die yet. Chess Venerate Saint gave up on the array and pointed his finger at the sky. The sea caved in and flames soared into the sky. Even the sea was ignited. Yi Qinghan kicked the immortal ceiling imprint and used the force to soar into the sky. Pointing his finger at Chess Venerate Saint, a terrifying force surged out. Boom! Crack crack. Space-time collapsed and the sea rolled back. Yi Qinghan shattered Chess Venerate Saint's attack with a single blow and aimed his elbow at Chess Venerate Saint's head. Whoosh! Bam! Chess Venerate Saint's expression changed. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so powerful. He could only dodge to avoid a direct confrontation. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan did not intend to kill Chess Venerate Saint. He turned around and charged at the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock and the 2 sacred pets. Merge and leave this place first. Whoosh! The Golden Thunder Dragon Rock, the multicolored snake, and the Star-Twisting Vine rushed into Yi Qinghan's body. They spread their wings and soared into the sky. Using the immortal gate, they disappeared from the sky above the sea in the blink of an eye. The 3 Skywalkers were not willing to let him escape. They chased after him frantically. The fluctuations in space exposed Yi Qinghan's tracks. However, for the sake of speed, Yi Qinghan could not care less. After escaping for a month, Yi Qinghan pulled away from the 3 Skywalkers. Then, he formed a seal with his hands and used his soul spirit to tear his own soul apart. At a roar! Yi Qinghan roared in pain. His roar caused the sea to collapse. A huge wave swept across and crashed into the distance. Whoosh! His soul was split into 2. Half of it was the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock's body, and the other half was the sacred golden body. Yi Qinghan's body was no longer a burden. Half of his soul was perfectly compatible with the body. The other half of his soul occupied the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock's body. The Golden Thunder Dragon Rock's soul was squeezed into a corner of his sea of consciousness. However, he believed that Yi Qinghan would return his body. Crack crack crack. The Golden Thunder Dragon Rock transformed into a human form and became one of Yi Qinghan's clones. It was also the main body. A powerful aura burst out, enough to destroy space and time. Half of Yi Qinghan's soul quickly merged with the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock's body. He sat cross-legged above the sea and cultivated. Yi Qinghan's main body's eyes shone coldly. Seeing the 3 Skywalkers chasing after him, he sneered. His killing intent soared to the sky. Yi Qinghan waved his hand. The sea rose, and countless immortal swords gathered. His hands crossed, and immortal marks shot out in all directions. Go! Yi Qinghan's main body waved his hand and controlled the immortal swords. Thousands of immortal swords shot out at the 3 Skywalkers like a rain of swords. He wanted to stop them and buy time for his clones to merge. Whoosh 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 whoosh! The rain of swords was unstoppable. Whoosh! Fan Yin waved his hand and controlled the immortal ceiling mark. It was like an unshakable sky curtain, blocking the front 100 feet. Immortal marks shot out in all directions and turned into a shield. Boom boom boom. Countless immortal swords hit the immortal ceiling mark. The 3 Skywalkers were unable to stop themselves from retreating. Crack crack crack. The immortal swords were all shattered, But the immortal sealing mark did not move at all. The three Skywalkers stabilized themselves and looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and his clones. They could not help but be stunned. This kind of low-level cultivation technique might be strange, but as Skywalkers, they did not understand it. Chapter 2246. It's a doppelganger, not an illusion, Chess Venerable said with a frown. A doppelganger usually only had 1/10 of the original's combat strength. Many people disdained to use doppelganger. For a true expert, doppelganger would only lower his cultivation and be of no use. Fanine looked at the judge and said plainly, "You're in charge of killing the doppelganger. Chess Venerable and I will hold back his original body. Kill the doppelganger and quickly regroup with us. Let's end this quickly." "No problem. Half an hour is enough," the judge said confidently. "Then let's begin." Chess Venerable took the lead. He waved his hand and formed a seal. A huge hand that covered the sky grabbed Yi Qinghan's original body, creating huge waves. Whoosh, whoosh, Fanine slashed the immortal sealing imprint at Yi Qinghan's throat. The doppelganger leaped up. Although it could not completely merge with the original body, there was no time left. Boom! Yi Qinghan's doppelganger stretched out 5 claws, tore through the order, and charged at the judge. It was almost a suicidal attack. Every move was shocking. In the blink of an eye, the judge was pushed back a few hundred miles. The judge could not kill Yi Qinghan's doppelganger in 2 hours, let alone half an hour. At this moment, he felt like he was facing Yi Qinghan's original body and not his doppelganger. The blade of judgment shone coldly and rushed in all directions. In a moment, Yi Qinghan's doppelganger was injured in several places, and his golden body was stained with blood. Yi Qinghan's original body charged at Fanine and Chess Venerable crazily. He did not even care about the destruction of his physical body. He did not even try to dodge. He stretched out his left hand and grabbed the immortal sealing imprint. The blades around the immortal sealing imprint cut into his skin, and even his bones were broken. Yi Qinghan endured the tearing pain and grabbed the immortal sealing imprint. His right fist drew an arc in the sky and punched towards Fanine's head. Fanine hurriedly waved her right arm to block the attack. However, how could her physical body withstand Yi Qinghan's golden body of the absolute saint? The punch, which was imbued with boundless power, broke her right arm and headed straight for her head. Fanine felt as if he had been struck by a saint weapon, and his soul was severely injured. His vision darkened, and he almost fainted on the spot. Boom! At this moment, the Chess Venerate's finger shattered the heavens and crashed onto Yi Qinghan's back. Yi Qinghan spat a mouthful of essence blood on Fan Yin's face. His back caved in and all his ribs were broken. However, he did not dare to let go of this opportunity. He waved his left hand and smashed the immortal sealing imprint towards Chess Supremacy. Boom! Chess Venerate Saint's finger was not finished yet. It changed direction and crashed into the celestial sealing imprint, sending it flying. Yi Qinghan grabbed Fan Yin's neck with one hand and kicked at the Chess Supremacy with the other. His right fist continued to punch at Fan Yin's head. This was the true way of fighting where both sides would suffer. It was even scarier than the sinful soul. At least the sinful soul knew how to dodge. He did not even try to dodge. It seemed like he would not rest until he was dead. Bam! Fan Yin was completely knocked out by this punch. Her soul fell into darkness and returned to nothingness. Yi Qinghan was afraid that she would wake up, and his head continued to smash at Fan Yin's head. Boom! Fan Yin's head almost exploded from the impact. Blood stained his golden body, and his clenched fists loosened completely. However, the Chess Supremacy took advantage of this opportunity. The third stroke of the sacred finger of annihilation exploded and struck Yi Qinghan's head. This attack almost caused Yi Qinghan to explode. His saint blood dyed the surface of the sea red. Under the rays of the sun, it was exceptionally beautiful. Yi Qinghan's soul was unparalleled in the world. However, he still had a splitting headache at this moment. His left hand grabbed onto Fan Yin's neck, and his right hand subconsciously grabbed at the Chess Supremacy. The sixth stroke of the star-plucking palm shattered the void. This desperate attack grabbed the chess supremacy's waist. Crack, crack, crack. Yi Qinghan's sky-covering hand gripped the chess supremacy so tightly that his ribs were deformed. No matter how much he struggled, he could not escape from this hand. Boom, boom, boom. The chess supremacy gave up on self-preservation and chose to perish together with Yi Qinghan. He activated the sixth stroke of the star-plucking palm and grabbed at Yi Qinghan. Bam! The chess supremacy and Yi Qinghan did not let each other off. As a result, the three of them crashed into the depths of the sea. They sank very quickly, and in the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the darkness. Yi Qinghan's doppelganger sensed that his original body was about to die. He pushed the judge back with a palm strike and dove into the depths of the sea. He merged with his original body, and his combat strength exploded once again. He broke free from the chess supremacy's control and punched the chess supremacy's head. The terrifying Saint Killer force engulfed his soul. Die! Yi Qinghan smashed Fan Yin's body into the chess supremacy's head. The collision of the two heads caused the two Skywalkers to lose consciousness completely. However, before he could react, the judge's blade of judgment split the sea and stabbed him in the chest, right through his heart. Splat. The blade of judgment carried the Saint Killer force and swam through Yi Qinghan's limbs and bones. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. At this moment he finally felt death. This death meant that he would return to nothingness, and he would never be able to reincarnate again. Yi Qinghan opened his mouth and let out the most tragic roar. A pillar of water shot up from the surface of the sea. His hands gave up on Fan Yin and the chess supremacy's bodies, and his palms smashed towards the judge's head from both sides. Boom! Before the judge's hands could pull out the blade of judgment, his head was clamped between the palms, and his head was smashed out of shape. The power of Yi Qinghan's final strike was not at its peak. It had broken through the shackles of the body and directly smashed his head. Bam! The judge was dead. The blade of judgment was stabbed into Yi Qinghan's chest, and the four saintly bodies sank endlessly into the depths of the sea. At this moment, heaven and earth roared. Countless lightning bolts containing the wrath of heaven struck the sea, penetrating thousands of miles and crashing into Yi Qinghan's body, suppressing him in the depths of the sea. Yi Qinghan's eyes did not open, and he stared fixedly above. Even if he could not see anything, he was unwilling to close his eyes. Yi Qinghan's body was sinking, and his soul seemed to have fallen into nothingness. He sank deeper and deeper, unable to extricate himself. I actually died at the peak of my power. A thought flashed through Yi Qinghan's mind before it sank into darkness. At this moment, countless lightning bolts intertwined on the surface of the sea, and heaven and earth mourned. The Skywalkers had died, and they had not achieved their goal. Fan Yin had died before he could comprehend the immortal realm. How could the heavens not be angry? Lin Wutian glanced at the depths of the sea, and he seemed to have a bad premonition. His heartbeat quickened. Master. Lin Wutian pulled out his sword and charged into the depths of the sea. Tears of blood burst out, and he was extremely sad. Tong Tian and Ji Sheng were covered in blood, and there were at least hundreds of sword wounds on their bodies. They could not imagine how terrifying Lin Wutian was. If he was given time, even if they mastered the third style of the sacred finger of annihilation, they might not be able to withstand him. Don't give him a chance. Ji Sheng and Tong Tian looked at each other, and their murderous intent appeared. They looked back at the saints who were still fighting in the hinterland of the great world, and then charged into the sea. Three figures took the sky, and they were unstoppable like lightning. When the saints fought, there was no other choice except for mutual destruction. There were already 3 saints from the insane sect lying in pools of blood, but there were even more saints from the great world. They had all lost consciousness. Although they were not dead, it was very difficult for them to regain consciousness. Zhou Shuguang and Charity Saint had both fallen. Mu Zhuang's chest was pierced by a sword. From afar it looked like he was dead. Chapter 2247. At this point, no one was willing to see this happen. The saints of the macro world thought that they would be blessed by the heavens and fought with their lives for it. However, they did not expect that they would lose their lives for it. The Guangzong, on the other hand, only wanted to live. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, knock knock knock. The hearts of the saints were almost unable to take it anymore. After killing for so long, they were all fighting with their lives on the line. No matter how strong their physical bodies were, they could not take it anymore. Jiang Jingtian, Gu Qingyu, Qitian Monkey King, and the others were unstoppable. Even though their saint bodies had been pierced through, they weren't inferior in the slightest. Their expressions were sinister. Previously, they were trying to protect themselves, but now, it was all because of hatred. The brothers of Guangzong had fought side by side, and they were as close as real brothers. Their corporeal bodies were nailed to the mountain. The saints of Guangzong roared and charged at the enemy desperately. Boom! Qitian Monkey King swept out with his cudgel, stirring up dust that drowned out spacetime. Gu Qingyu's sword chanted the great Tao, desolate and cold, wanting to kill all living things. Jiang Jingtian's spear shattered mountains and rivers. His blood-red robes were sharp and cold, and he charged into the enemy group like a god of war. However, there were still too many enemies. His spear pierced through a saint, but his chest was pierced through by a manor lord's divine sword. Boom! Jiang Jingtun, the war god of his generation, fell to the ground with a loud thud. His body convulsed as he looked at the prefecture lord, who was charging towards him, and smiled bitterly. I didn't expect this. I, Jiang Jingtian, will have my achievements today. Care. The prefecture lord unsheathed his holy sword, wanting to destroy Jiang Jingtian's soul. However, he was too slow. Gu Qingyu's sword pierced through his head. The destructive sword qi penetrated his sea of consciousness. The prefecture lord screamed and knelt before Jiang Jingtian. The sword hole in his head was extremely terrifying. At this point, Guangzong no longer wanted to live. He only wanted to kill the enemy, even if he had to die in battle. More and more people fell, but for every person that fell, 2 or even 3 would fall from the other side. Boom! Whoosh! Dark clouds covered the sky and thunder rumbled. Lightning descended from the sky and slaughtered its way into the crowd. It didn't differentiate between friend and foe. It struck the sacred bodies, causing them to split apart. Run! The veteran saint of the great world didn't want to kill anymore. He turned around and fled, his blood dyeing the heavenly river red. There were still 5 people from the Kuang sect who could stand up, but they did not dare to stay for long. Each of them pulled a fallen Kuang sect expert and rushed into the distance. Xiahou He pulled Jiang Jingtian up and fled to the horizon. The saints fled into the abyss, into the depths of the earth. Every one of them dragged their exhausted bodies. Perhaps those who were about to die understood their fates, and they couldn't help but smile bitterly. Some of them were smashed into the depths of the earth by the lightning and were buried by the mountain rocks. The great world returned to silence. There was no one left, and the saints had also disappeared. The mountains and rivers changed, and the mountains and seas were moved. The torrential rain washed the world, and the blood of the saints was swept into the mountains and rivers. The bodies of some saints were submerged in the endless abyss. Time was running out, the water was thinning, and the mountains were cold. The era changed, and the bodies of the saints turned into fossils. The era shifted, and the great civilization fell. No one had expected such an outcome. The world's consciousness had failed to achieve its goal. Yi Qinghan had still failed to overcome the heavens. The saints of the crazy sect were scattered, lying in a pool of blood. They were wrapped in mountain rocks and gradually turned into blood-colored fossils. However, their bodies and souls were not completely dead yet. If they were dug up one day, they might be able to recover. Were there any survivors? There was no way to investigate. Only Lin Wutian and the 2 great saints were missing. They had disappeared after charging into the sea during that battle. In the depths of the sea, the 4 saint bodies were still sinking into the endless darkness. Yi Qinghan's body was wrapped in seaweed, and the dark green parasites illuminated the direction like a lighthouse. The undercurrent swept up the 4 saint bodies and separated them. After an unknown number of years, the great world was surging. Some creatures were born again, and wild animals ran around. It seemed to symbolize the birth of a new civilization. Yi Qinghan's body rose and fell with the undercurrent. The blade of judgment on his chest had lost its function. It was wrapped in plankton and dim. Some dark green parasitic worms were also on his face. The undercurrent swept his body into the depths, almost sinking to the seabed. The huge pressure of the sea made his body change shape. At a certain moment, Yi Qinghan seemed to feel pain in his body. His soul was also slowly recovering. "I'm not dead yet." Yi Qinghan wanted to open his eyes, but his eyelids were 10,000 pounds heavy. His soul wanted to control the body, but it was imprisoned in the sea of consciousness by the blade of judgment and could not wander around the body. In this way, Yi Qinghan drifted in the sea for countless years. The cultivator civilization of the Great World had completely disappeared. Even the civilizations that lived underground had all disappeared due to the lack of resources. In the blink of an eye, 30,000 years had passed. The tireless migration of the sun and moon exhausted this cultivator civilization. Lin Wutian, Tong Tian, and the Holy Emperor disappeared as if they were dead. There was no news of them at all. The blade of judgment on Yi Qinghan's chest blocked the chance for Yi Qinghan to recover. If no one took away the blade of judgment, he might lie in the water like this for the rest of his life, without a sound. Time flew by. 100,000 years was enough to destroy all traces and give birth to a new civilization. However, the angry world's consciousness did not seem to want to start a new civilization. Deep in the passage of the coiling dragon's secret territory, the peach tree stood in the desolate land, protecting the saints of the insane faction. For more than 100,000 years, Yi Qinghan did not return. The world's consciousness did not say anything. Besides the peach tree and Bailey Qinxiang, no one knew that the civilization outside had fallen. The peach tree did not tell the insane faction because it was afraid that they would go crazy and die in the end. Although Bailey Qinxiang did not enter the great world, she was the spirit of 100 flowers. She could see the great world through the flowers. A new civilization was slowly being born. After waiting for so long, the people of the insane faction could not wait any longer. They wanted to go out and look for Yi Qinghan and the saints of the insane faction. However, the peach tree understood that the people of the insane faction could not come back alive. However, there was one person who could go out, and that was Bailey Qinxiang. Now, the world's consciousness did not seal this group of people. Instead, it was waiting for them to appear. As long as the flowers were not destroyed, Bailey Qinxiang would not die. The world's consciousness could not destroy the vitality of the entire world just to kill Bailey Qinxiang. If the entire great world was dead, it would take millions of years for a new civilization to be born. "Qinxiang, go out and look for them." "I think they are not all dead," the peach tree whispered. Bailey Qinxiang nodded and quickly passed through the desolate land. After entering the passage of the small region, she appeared 100,000 miles away in the blink of an eye. She continued to pass through and entered the great world. Now the world was so desolate. There were no humans or large creatures. Some of the mountains were bare without any signs of life. After so many years, it was still possible to see how tragic the sacred war was. Some of the broken cliffs still showed the strength of the cultivator civilization. However, time could flatten everything. Even if the next civilization was born, they would not suspect that there was a strong civilization before them. Bailey Qinxiang looked at the world. Even the flowers did not know the whereabouts of the insane faction and Yi Qinghan. Finding them in this great world was as difficult as ascending to heaven. Chapter 2248. Time flew by, and the mountains and rivers moved. In the sacred war, the severely injured saints were basically killed by God's punishment. Their souls were sent into the chaos, and their bodies had not yet decayed. They were buried in the mountains and rivers. As the sun and moon changed, the mountains and rivers moved. More than 20 saints' bodies were swept into a barren land. The eccentric sect's wooden pillars, Charity Saint, and Zhuo Shuguang were all here. Their bodies did not decay, and their appearances did not change. However, time could change everything. They were wrapped in mountains and rocks, and after countless years, they turned into fossils, like stone sculptures lying in the barren land. Slowly, this place became a lonely and cold grave. Perhaps the heavens wanted to leave a mark on its masterpiece, so it formed a tombstone here. After countless years of wind and frost, the words, "Holy Grave," appeared on the tombstone. More than 20 saints were buried in this grave, but there were more than 40 saints back then. Nearly half of them were missing. Perhaps they were hidden in the depths of the earth, or perhaps the world's consciousness could not find them after they died. In the tragic sacred war, the eccentric sect was injured, and their injuries were very serious. If they did not have the opportunity, it was normal for them to die. Not to mention the saints of the macro world, their injuries were more terrible than the eccentric sects. Their cultivation was not as good as the eccentric sect's masters, so it was possible for them to die. Bailey Chenxiang ordered the spirits of flowers to search the entire macro world, but they could not find the eccentric sect's people. Instead, they found a few corpses from the depths of the earth. They were all saints of the macro world. They died because of their heavy injuries and the lightning of God's punishment. Even if they found a good cave for themselves after death, it was not found by the world's consciousness. Now, it was dug out by Bailey Chenxiang. Are they all dead? Bailey Chenxiang looked sadly at the barren land. There was not even a shadow of a person. Bailey Chenxiang knew the old masters of the eccentric sect. Each of them was a giant among men, and it would be a pity if any of them died. But now, none of them could be found. She felt sad. Bailey Chenxiang searched the great world for more than 100,000 years. She searched every corner of the great world and found a few more holy corpses. The fatal injuries all had the shadow of divine law. One of them belonged to the crazy sect. It was Xia Ziluo. At this moment, she had turned into a fossil, but the transparent stone did not cover her face. Bailey Chenxiang didn't dare to move. She couldn't be sure if Xia Ziluo was really dead. She could only carry the stone and rush towards the coiling dragon mystic realm. Time was still passing quickly, and some life was being born. Bailey Chenxiang even saw the evolution of creatures, from crawling beasts to savages. However, she did not interfere with the order of the world, nor did she want to anger the world's consciousness. There were no records of human history, so it was impossible to determine how many years had passed. Perhaps a few thousand years later, tribes were formed in this great world. Humans were born, and a new civilization was born. However, they no longer cultivated, and instead relied purely on hunting for a living. With tribes as a unit, they cooperated with each other. The young took care of the old and the children, and the women took the initiative, forming a matriarchal society. After a few thousand years of development, the human population reached a peak. They started to form dynasties and countries. They fought and killed each other. For the sake of resources, rivers of blood flowed. Finally, one day, humans began to explore the depths of the sea. Giant ships sailed into the depths of the sea, and the fisherman industry was born. There was also a group of adventurers who began to venture deep into the sea and even away from land. On this day, more than a dozen fishing boats sailed into a relatively calm area of the sea and began to fish. Yi Qinghan's body was completely wrapped in plankton, and it was impossible to see that it was a person. A large net was cast down and enveloped him. Hey! More than a dozen shirtless men pulled the fishing net with all their might. This time, the fishing net was particularly heavy. Looks like we caught a big guy. I don't know if we can catch a spirit fish and offer it to the royal family. This year's days will be good. A middle-aged man's veins were bulging as he led more than a dozen men to pull the net up. Hee, if we have a good harvest this year, I won't go out to sea next year. I'll marry a wife first, have a fat boy, and then go out to sea. A young man who looked very young said excitedly, "Little Liang, you have to work harder. Otherwise, the girl you like won't be able to wait for you." Everyone teased. This group of people was much more simple and honest than the people of the previous civilization. They had very little spirit energy in their bodies, just like ordinary mortals. However, they were much stronger. Soon, the fishing net was pulled onto the boat. The net was full of fish, but a dark green stick-like object alarmed the group of people. "Hey, what's that?" Why haven't I seen it before? The big man looked curiously at Yi Qinghan's body. It was nearly 2 meters tall and had a human shape. However, after being wrapped in plankton, it now looked like a thick wooden stick. A young man pulled Yi Qinghan out of the net and poked it a few times with the stick. He shrugged and said, "Maybe it's just a rotten tree trunk. Throw it away." The leader pulled out a large knife and slashed at Yi Qinghan's body. Bang! Gotcha! The large knife cut through the skin, but when it came into contact with Yi Qinghan's body, the steel knife broke. The golden body of the holy war body was not something that ordinary weapons could touch. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and took a step back. They looked at the dark green tree trunk in horror. Could it be iron? The big man scratched Yi Qinghan's body with the broken knife in surprise. After scraping away all the seaweed and plankton, he realized that it was a corpse with a machete stuck in it. Wow, a dead person. How unlucky. Throw it into the sea, everyone suggested. The big man was the leader after all. He had some brains. If it was an ordinary corpse, how could it break the steel knife? Bring me another knife, the big man said as he stretched out his hand. Xiao Liangzi hurriedly handed over a sharp steel knife. The burly man took it and fiercely swung it at Yi Qinghan's thigh. However, the steel knife broke as if it had hit the hardest steel. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air in horror and retreated even further. Interesting. This corpse is not simple. It's actually harder than steel. If this knife can penetrate his body, it must be extraordinary. The big man pondered for a moment and reached out to pull out the blade of judgment that was stuck in Yi Qinghan's chest. However, the big man used all his strength. The blade of judgment did not move at all in Yi Qinghan's body. It was as if it weighed 10,000 pounds. 2 young men went up to help, but they still could not move the blade of judgment. The big man's eyes flashed. He liked the blade of judgment more and more. He quickly ordered everyone, "Come, tie a rope to the corpse and another rope to tie the machete. Let's work together to pull it out and sell it in the imperial capital. It will definitely fetch a good price." Chapter 2249. The men split into 2 groups. Half of them used a rope to pull Yi Qinghan's body, while the other half used a rope to pull the blade of judgment. They used all their strength but still could not retrieve the blade of judgment. The blade of judgment was an immortal weapon. How could a mortal take it out? Finally, the men gave up on the weapon and focused on Yi Qinghan's battle robe. Although there were some holes, the 2 slashes did not leave any marks on it. It had to be a protective treasure. However, they could not move Yi Qinghan's arms and legs, nor could they take off the battle robe. Return. This corpse should be worth a lot of money, the leader said in a low voice. Woo woo woo, the horn to return echoed in the sea. Soon after, another corpse was fished out. It was the Chess Supreme. However, it was still a corpse. His soul had fallen into darkness and had not been revived. Perhaps he was completely dead. The bodies of Fanine and the adjudicator had not been discovered yet. More than 10 fishing boats returned. The sailing speed was very fast. The sails faced the wind and increased the speed of the boats. A few years later, they returned to land. The land near the sea had formed a huge port. The territory that originally belonged to the Holy Empire had now become a huge dynasty. The ruins of the Holy Empire had all disappeared. The previous civilization did not leave anything behind. Only the 2 corpses of Yi Qinghan and the Chess Supreme were left. The men brought the corpses to the capital of the dynasty. There were people who bought rare treasures there. There were also some strange cultivators who could control metal, wood, water, fire, earth, time, space, and so on. They were called the God Cultivators. The God Cultivators had a very high status in this civilization. Some powerful God Cultivators were even on the same level as the Emperor. Even the weakest God Cultivators were given titles and titles. They had at least a few slaves, and at most tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of slaves. The God Cultivators pursued the limit. They also pursued glory and the worship of the people. However, they did not need faith. They also needed spiritual medicine to cultivate. They sought rare treasures with rich elements. However, they were still in a low-level state. These fishermen brought Chess Supreme Saint and Yi Qinghan's corporeal body and drove the carriage all the way to the imperial capital. 2 carriages pulled 2 coffins into the imperial capital of the Qinghai Empire. The place was flourishing, but compared to the civilization of the past, it was at most the size of a medium-sized city. At this moment, Yi Qinghan could only feel endless darkness, but at this moment he actually sensed the aura of a human. However, this dreamlike feeling was very ethereal. His powerful soul had become weak, and he felt even more helpless than when he was in his zombie state after being severely injured. At that time, he could still use his soul to control everything, but now, he did not even know if this was a dream or if he was already dead. The body was transported to an ancient street in the city. There were many strange things on this street, as well as many strange people. Their attire was very special, because there were different patterns embroidered on the shoulders of their clothes, representing what kind of god they cultivated. Some of them were flame patterns, some were water patterns, and some were golden patterns. The different patterns represented the type of god they cultivated. If there were people from the previous civilization who were still alive, they would be able to tell that the so-called god cultivators on this street did not even have an emperor-level cultivation. They were a complete mess. Whoosh! The 2 coffins were opened, and the sacred corporeal body appeared before everyone's eyes. An impenetrable corpse. It should be the body of a great god. One of the corporeal bodies even has a scimitar in it. It's priceless. The highest bidder will get it. Whoever wants it, hurry up and make a bid. The leading burly man beat the gongs and drums, attracting the many god cultivators who came to search for treasures. Whoosh! In an instant, dozens of god cultivators surrounded them. Their cultivation was a complete mess. There was not even a single emperor-level expert, let alone an emperor-level expert. If they were in the previous civilization, they would not even be comparable to the experts in the small regions. Impenetrable? What are you bragging about? Can't you see that there's a scimitar in his body? A god cultivator pointed at Yi Qinghan's sacred body in disdain and mocked. The burly man hurriedly bowed and explained, "Exalted God, how would this commoner dare to deceive you? This corpse is truly impenetrable. If you don't believe me, you can try hacking at him a few times." Bang! Those god cultivators did not hold back. They waved their hands and struck Yi Qinghan. As a result, the spirit weapons in their hands were directly shattered. The terrifying recoil sent 2 god cultivators who attacked flying dozens of meters away. They coughed up blood and fainted on the spot. God cultivators were different from mortals when they attacked. The stronger the attack, the stronger the recoil. The burly man was only a mortal, so the recoil was only that little. God cultivators were different. Hiss hiss hiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air as they looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. If it wasn't for the fact that Yi Qinghan's face was already devoid of color, they would have already fled. Is he a god? How can a god die? Many god cultivators looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. Their bodies trembled and they involuntarily knelt down. However, Yi Qinghan and the sacred chess venerables' corpses quickly attracted the attention of important figures. One was an order from the royal family, while the other came from the Skyblaze sect, the largest god cultivator faction in the Qinghai Empire. Their goal was to retrieve the 2 corpses. However, their authority was equal. The royal family's influence was ultimately greater. After taking away Yi Qinghan's sacred body, the Skyblaze sect took away the sacred chess venerable's corpse. In the palace of the royal palace, the emperor of the Qinghai Empire was personally overseeing the situation. He looked at the coffin in the palace and stared at Yi Qinghan's face. He asked in a low voice, "Is there no one who can retrieve the divine weapon from the corpse?" "Your Majesty, the 3 consecrators have already tried. None of them were able to retrieve the divine weapon," the Prime Minister of the Empire, Lu Jun, replied respectfully. The emperor stood up, his dragon robes fluttering in the wind. He personally got down from his dragon throne and walked towards Yi Qinghan. "Your Majesty, this divine weapon is a little strange. Be careful not to harm your dragon body," the officials advised. The emperor said indifferently, "I can conquer this vast empire. Naturally, I'm not afraid of a mere divine weapon. Since the heavens have allowed this corpse to appear before me, it might be a gift to me. How can I not take it? After saying that, the emperor reached out and grabbed the blade of judgment. With a hard pull, the blade of judgment actually loosened a little. Yi Qinghan even felt pain. His soul struggled frantically in his sea of consciousness, trying to break free from the suppression of the blade of judgment. However, the blade of judgment was an immortal weapon. Immortal patterns shot out in all directions, sealing Yi Qinghan's soul and imprisoning it in the sea of bitterness. No matter how much he struggled, he could not break free from the seal of the blade of judgment. The officials were both surprised and delighted. They had tested the blade of judgment before, and no one could shake it. They did not expect the emperor to be able to make it loosen. They all held their breaths. The emperor's dignity. Since he could conquer the empire, he was the pride of the heavens. The chi of the heavenly dragon gathered. He was the best candidate to shake the blade of judgment. Whoosh! The emperor reached out and grabbed the blade of judgment again. He gathered his strength and pulled it again. Whoosh! Puchita, the light of judgment enveloped the main hall. An immortal aura spread in all directions, crushing everyone's willpower. Even the 3 consecrators with higher cultivation were forced to kneel on the ground. Yi Qinghan's chest spat out a blood sword, piercing through the imperial hall. A drop of blood could kill a god and destroy a saint. Roared out an angry roar came from Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. It was as if a giant demon was hiding in the abyss of eternity. It shook the main hall. Crack! Yi Qinghan, who had not moved for countless years, clenched his iron fist. His energy shattered the coffin and his body smashed into the main hall. The officials were so frightened that they knelt down in fear. Chapter 2250. Roar, roar. The roars of dragons and rocks rang out from Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. Although the sound was soft, it was even more powerful than the emperor's. Even the Qin Sea Emperor's legs trembled from the shock, and he knelt before Yi Qinghan. Buzz! The judgment immortal weapon trembled and wanted to stab Yi Qinghan's chest again. However, the emperor subconsciously tightened his grip on the immortal weapon as if he was afraid it would run away. Although the emperor wasn't a celestial, he was a genius. The judgment blade didn't break free, giving Yi Qinghan a chance. Boom! Yi Qinghan's hands were like sharp claws as he tore apart the stone tiles in the hall. His veins were bulging. His soul was quickly recovering and he could control his body. However, after being sealed for so many years, his soul was extremely tired. It would be impossible for him to recover to his peak in a short period of time. Yi Qinghan felt like his head was about to explode. The wound on his chest wouldn't heal for a long time. Golden blood flowed everywhere and dyed his body red. He propped himself up and held his head with one hand and his chest with the other. He couldn't even stand properly. He staggered and almost fell. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. They couldn't even stand up. They just knelt in the hall, including the emperor. Almighty God! Almighty God! So there really are gods in this world. The emperor knelt in front of Yi Qinghan and constantly kowtowed, hoping to receive God's favor. Yi Qinghan retreated to a pillar and leaned against it as he looked at this group of strangely dressed people. He didn't even know that a new civilization had begun. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed the judge's edge. He used all his strength to seal the judge's edge so that the world's consciousness could not sense its existence. The sharp judgment blade became a blunt knife. It couldn't even cut through firewood. Bang! Yi Qinghan casually threw the judgment blade on the ground and looked at the kneeling emperor. His face was pale and his lips were purple. He coldly asked, "How many years has it been since the Holy War? Where is this place? Where did the sages go?" Everyone was terrified. The imperial emperor had no idea what Yi Qinghan was talking about. Where did this holy war come from? How could there be a saint? Yi Qinghan casually grabbed a minister out of thin air and plundered his memories. Only then did he realize that the world had changed. A new civilization had been born, and the old civilization had fallen. Boom! Yi Qinghan slumped to the ground and looked up at the sky helplessly. Sorrow welled up in his heart and he said angrily, "Is Guangzong finished? Heavens! You are so cruel." Still, no one understood what Yi Qinghan was trying to say. They all knelt on the ground in fear, not daring to move. Woo-woo, Yi Qinghan wept. He hugged his head and wept bitterly. The 9 saints of the Kuang sect, plus the love saint, Zhou Shuguang, Emperor Feng, and Lin Wutian, were 13 brothers and sisters in total. The person closest to him had been with him since he was young. He had never thought that things would turn out this way. A grown man hugged his head and cried bitterly. How desperate and bitter was this crying? The sorrowful emotions infected the entire hall. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan cried for a long time. He slowly stood up and reached out to grab the judge. He wiped away his tears and stared at the emperor. He whispered, "You better keep your mouths shut about what happened today. Otherwise, I will come back for you." After that, Yi Qinghan took the judge and quickly left the hall. He took some clothes from somewhere and disguised himself. He went to the edge of the sea and rented a fishing boat. He went straight to the Coiling Dragon Island. The Coiling Dragon Island was deep in the sea. This civilization had been born for thousands of years, but no one had ever been there. With the current speed of ships, it would take decades to reach there. Yi Qinghan did not dare to use his holy power for fear of alarming the world consciousness. The world's consciousness wasn't a real immortal, so it couldn't pay attention to the big world all the time. As long as Yi Qinghan didn't explode and Ruling Blade didn't explode, it couldn't find Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan had been lying on the boat for decades. He forced the fisherman to send him to the Coiling Dragon Island. The young fisherman who sent him there had aged, but his appearance had not. Instead, he had regained some vitality. Now, humans were born on the Coiling Dragon Island. The development was not bad. Yi Qinghan rented a carriage and continued on. Although it took a lot of time, at least his identity would not be exposed. Yi Qinghan kept changing carriages. He used the teleportation formation of some sects to reach the end of the small domain. He entered the small domain opened by the immortal Peach Elder alone. The immortal Peach Elder was stunned. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to come back alive. Bailey Chenxiang and the saints of the insane sect stood up. Emperor Yi, Bai Shaoxing, and Jian Chenxue cried without restraint. They ran over and hugged Yi Qinghan tightly. Yi Qinghan was speechless. After fighting for so many years, not only did he not win the final victory, but he had also lost so many brothers and sisters. I'm sorry. I let them down." Yi Qinghan knelt on the ground in pain and cried silently. At this time, the immortal Peach Elder came in front of Yi Qinghan and patted Yi Qinghan's shoulder gently. He whispered, "You did your best. No one blames you. At least you discovered the world consciousness's plot. Not all of the insane sex people were sacrificed. Chen Xiang found a fossil. It's Xia Ziluo. Her soul is suppressed in the sea of bitterness. Although she can't recover now, it doesn't mean she's really dead. I believe the others can also escape this disaster." When Yi Qinghan heard this, he immediately looked up at the immortal Peach Elder and asked in a deep voice, "Where is Ziluo?" The immortal Peach Elder pointed to a corpse under a peach tree. It was Xia Ziluo, who was taken out of the fossil by the immortal Peach Elder. Yi Qinghan rushed to Xia Ziluo crazily and hugged the cold and stiff corpse. Even his breathing was irregular. At this moment, Xia Ziluo was indeed dead in the eyes of ordinary people. However, to a supreme saint, she was not completely dead. Her soul was suppressed in the sea of bitterness. If her soul could not be rescued, then she was really dead. However, if it could be rescued, then she could still recover. "I'll go out and find them." Yi Qinghan put down Xia Ziluo and said firmly. The immortal Peach Elder sighed. "Don't be anxious about this. Chen Xiang has searched for tens of thousands of years and only found this body of the insane sect. The others have all disappeared without a trace. Even if you rush out now, you won't be able to find them. It's better to restore your cultivation first. At least you can escape the world consciousness's pursuit." Huff huff huff. Dong dong dong. Yi Qinghan's breathing quickened and he trembled with excitement. Looking at the young people of the insane sect, He felt an inexplicable sadness in his heart. Wutian didn't come back? Yi Qinghan asked sadly. Other than Yi Qinghan, Lin Wutian was the only supreme saint in the insane sect. No matter how bad he was, he should have been able to escape. However, he was not here. Yi Qinghan had a bad premonition. The immortal Peach Elder shook his head and said, "He didn't come back." According to Chen Xiang's information, it seems that before the Sacred War ended, Lin Wutian, Tong Tian, and the Supreme Saint rushed into the sea and disappeared without a trace. There was no news of them since. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. His hatred was monstrous. If he could find these two Supreme Saints, he would use the cruelest means to torture them to death. I'll add more chapters today. I'll update the 3 chapters first. Chapter 2251. Searching for the saints of the arrogant sect was not something that could be done overnight. Since they had not appeared for so many years, they must have been severely injured back then, similar to Xia Ziluo, or even dead. Yi Qinghan suppressed his anger and used the Peach of Immortality to heal his injured body. The injuries back then were too severe, and even a few Peaches of Immortality were useless. He needed a lot of time to recuperate. In the small region, after 1,000 years of silence, Yi Qinghan finally adjusted his condition. However, his cultivation was still at the same place, and his physical body had not improved. His realm was still at the peak of the Supreme Saint realm. Yi Qinghan stroked the blade of judgment. The immortal weapon back then had become a blunt weapon. Yi Qinghan did not dare to refine it, nor did he dare to destroy it. Otherwise, it would definitely alarm the world's consciousness. Boom! Yi Qinghan stabbed the blade of judgment into the ground and stood up to look at the endless chaos. At this time, he had aged a little. His face was full of beard and he looked very old. The Peach of Immortality Elder had aged a lot. Many of the younger generation of the arrogant sect were past their prime. If they did not step into the Saint realm, they could not live forever. After so many years, except for a few talented children who had entered the Saint realm, the others were still in the upper realm. I may not be able to hold on for much longer. The consumption in the desolate land is too great. A few 100,000 years is my limit. If you want to save the arrogant sect, you must destroy the world's consciousness within 100,000 years, the Peach of Immortality Elder said sadly. 100,000 years seemed very long, but Yi Qinghan had slept for more than that. Yi Qinghan still nodded. 100,000 years was his limit. If he could not kill the world's consciousness, the arrogant sect would be completely finished. All of you stay here. You are not allowed to enter the great world. Yi Qinghan looked at Jian Chenxue and the others and said in a deep voice. No one wanted to cause trouble for Yi Qinghan at this time. They all nodded and watched Yi Qinghan fight alone, waiting for his news at home. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan took to his heels and left the small region. His figure quickly entered the chaos. Yi Qinghan strolled through the minor domain's passageway like a mortal. He had restrained his soul source, and unless he erupted with power, the world's consciousness wouldn't be able to find him. It might even think that he was dead. There were countless planets with life in the minor domain passageways, and they formed countless factions. If they were not unified, it would be very difficult to mobilize them. Yi Qinghan fell into deep thought. During the Sacred War, no one knew where the last members of the crazy sect had fled to. They could be in any corner of a small world. If they were not excavated, they would probably remain as a pile of fossils forever. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and walked toward the coiling dragon's secret realm. His speed was extremely fast. Space was constantly splitting apart, but there were no spatial fluctuations. A few months later, Yi Qinghan entered the coiling dragon's secret realm. From the coiling dragon's secret realm, he continued to the great world. Along the way, he encountered a high-grade spiritual herb. He squatted down and whispered, "Inform Bailey Chenxiang to find me at the ruins of the Sacred Lord Mountain in the Holy Empire." Bailey Chenxiang was in the minor domain. When she received the message from Hundred Flowers, she quickly headed toward the coiling dragon's secret realm. She didn't need to hide her whereabouts. The world's consciousness wouldn't chase after her, and no one could kill her now. Although her cultivation wasn't high, Yi Qinghan couldn't kill her completely. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Bailey Qianxiang's speed was even faster than Yi Qinghan, who was hiding his whereabouts. After Yi Qinghan entered the Great World, she followed him into the Great World. 100 Flowers kept sending messages. Bailey Qianxiang had locked onto Yi Qinghan's whereabouts. She caught up with him before he reached the Sacred Lord Mountain. Great Seiji, you're looking for me? Bailey Qianxiang's figure flashed, and the fragrance of 100 flowers filled the air. Countless petals formed a beautiful woman, surrounded by an immortal aura. She didn't have the slightest bit of mortal aura. Yi Qinghan looked at Bailey Qianxiang and nodded. Yes, I need you. Bailey Qianxiang looked at Yi Qinghan's tired and weary face. She couldn't help but feel sorry for this man. People said that fighting with the heavens was endless fun, but how many people really dared to fight with the heavens? Only when one reached Yi Qinghan's level did they know how hard it was to fight with the heavens. As you command, Bailey Qianxiang immediately said. In this great world, which rising force is stronger? Especially if it's trustworthy and can be nurtured, Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. Bailey Qianxiang knew the great world like the back of her hand. She thought for a moment and said, among the empires, the Qinghai Empire is very good. As for the sects, the divine-seeking sect is the most powerful. The purpose of the divine-seeking sect is to search for miracles in the hope of becoming a god one day. They pursue power. I don't dare to say whether they can be trusted, but they can be used. Location, Yi Qinghan asked faintly. The original Holy Empire's territory. It's at the intersection of Xixiang Holy Land, transcending heaven cult, and Holy Empire's territory. It's rich in resources, rich in spiritual qi and dragon veins. There are still many experts there, Bailey Qianxiang said. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and nodded. First, accompany me to the Qinghai Empire. Bailey Qianxiang didn't understand what Yi Qinghan wanted to do, but she didn't ask. In her heart, she inexplicably felt that there was nothing Yi Qinghan couldn't do if he wanted to do it. The Qinghai Empire was the same empire that had pulled out the ruling blade. The emperor was also the same emperor. He had also begun to cultivate, so it was normal for him to have 1,000 years. The reason why he cultivated was because Yi Qinghan's appearance made him believe that there were gods in the world who could live forever. As an emperor, who didn't want to live forever? However, the emperor of the Qinghai Empire's talent wasn't good. So far, he was only at the ancestor realm. If he didn't break through, he would transform into a Dao. Now, he was incomparably old. Standing in the bedroom, there was a god tablet in the room with a portrait on it. It was actually a portrait of Yi Qinghan. Almighty God, please give me the divine medicine. I will sincerely believe in you and let your glory spread throughout the world. The emperor of the Qinghai Empire respectfully kowtowed in front of Yi Qinghan's portrait and made a sincere wish. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and appeared in the emperor of the Qinghai Empire's bedroom. Beside him stood the flower spirit, Bailey Qianxiang. Bang! The emperor of the Qinghai Empire was so frightened that his expression changed. He sat on the ground in a panic and looked at Yi Qinghan and Bailey Qianxiang. He shouted in surprise, Supreme God! After so many years, you have finally heard my sincere cry. Yi Qinghan stared at the emperor of the Qinghai Empire. He could vaguely see the shadow of the past. Fortunately, he had personally pulled out the ruling blade. Otherwise, he would have been sealed for many years. Do you like strength? Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. The emperor of the Qinghai Empire hurriedly kowtowed and said, Supreme God, I don't ask to reach the level of a god. I only want to have the strength of a demigod. I beg you to give me endless divine power. I'm willing to be a slave for life. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and helped the emperor of the Qinghai Empire up. He said indifferently, Strength is not a problem. Even if you want to become a god, I can do it. However, you have to help me do something. Supreme God, please tell me. This old slave is willing to go through water and tread on fire. The emperor of the Qinghai Empire hurriedly bowed and said. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. He patted the emperor of the Qinghai Empire's shoulder and removed all the impurities in his body. The terrifying flame broke through his bottleneck and forcefully raised his cultivation to the Emperor realm. Help me unify the great world. I will secretly support you. After you complete it, I will give you eternal life, Yi Qinghan said calmly. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.